Defining Duke is brought to you by Squarespace. I've actually, and I can't disclose what, game development things, but I've built a couple of websites over on Squarespace, and the flexible templates they've provided, all powered by their Fluid engine, which means it's never been easier for anyone to just unlock their creativity and get in there and make their own website for whatever it is. So, what are you waiting for? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Duke to save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 147 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I'm joined by Xbox partner, Lord Cognito. How are you, sir?
Happy to be back in the realm of the Dukes, fresh off a partner showcase. We got things to talk about, but yeah, man, I've been doing good, getting ready. I got to go get my suit for a certain wedding of
certain not being tied.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? The realm of the Dukes and LSM fam. Hopefully, I get to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while. So I'm looking forward to that. And I realized, damn, I got bigger since the last suit I had.
I had that moment when I had to buy my blue pinstripe one. I tried to put my other one. I was like, what happened?
Bro, corporate con could not fit into the 3-piece suit no more. I was a little too beefy. So I was like, yo, you got to check your ego and you got to buy a new suit, bro. Yeah. So, yeah, I got to pick up the new joint. And, yeah, but other than that, I've been doing good. I've been in a good, I don't want to get jinxed it, but I'm in a good work-life balance right now. We'll see how long it continues. The health has been going good. So positive vibes, good energy right now. How you been doing, man? What's been going on with you?
Been doing all right. Yeah, we had to get, Forrest is our 10-year-old little toy poodle. He looks like a teddy bear. He is if anyone's watched consistently my Mr. Matty videos, like you'll know I had him in one of my videos. I had to, before I lived with my fiance, I had to dog sit him, and he came with me to the office, and like where I used to do my studio work, they were like, you can't bring animals here. I was like, fuck it, I'm bringing him in anyway. This dog's like literally an angel. Like he would do nothing wrong, so I wasn't worried at all. But so people have seen him before, and he looks like a teddy bear. He's the cutest thing, but he's old, so some of his teeth are rotting, so we had to get some removed, and he had to go under for that. So there was a little bit of worry, but he's come out. He's doing great. Good. He removed 11 rotten teeth. Crazy, bro. Crazy. Wow. So yeah, his breath was straight chemical warfare, man. Like he would lick you and it'd be like, you see the acid on your skin.
Oh man, it was modern warfare.
He was a dangerous dog when that mouth opened, man. But he's the cutest thing otherwise. So he's doing better. And in other adventures, we were talking about this briefly, and I figured, like, this would be great to share on the show. It's just like a funny. I bought a game from Costco today. I picked up Mario Wonder. Okay, we'll do a video on Retro Rebound this weekend. Okay, and I just because like my buddies have been playing it and really loving it. I'm like, okay, like I check my ego because I saw 2D Mario. I'm like, I don't fucking care. But now everyone's hyping it up and giving it insane scores. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not going to feel that way, but let me check this out. Let's see what's the Wonder all about. And we had to pick up some like food storage containers. We were doing some meal prep and whatnot. And so I was like, let me see if they have games here, right? Because I remember I used to go to like Sam's Club as a kid, and they had like a small game section, but it was there. So when I go there, the way you get a game from Costco, if no one knows this, and I wouldn't blame you if you did, it's definitely not the first spot you go to pick up games. This was the only game they were carrying, first and foremost, which was kind of funny, but makes sense, right? It's Nintendo. It's a new Mario game. You have to grab a gigantic cardboard slab and has like an item number on it, right? And so it's not like how Best Buy used to do it, where they put in that there's a word for it, but those security cases.
Yeah, like, the security case, the clear joint.
Yeah, right. And like you see him take out some key and like rip it on open whenever you bring it up to the front counter. So they don't do that. They give you this giant slab, like the size of this, like just a big piece of cardboard. and you have to bring it with like all of your groceries to the front, and the cashier like yells out a command. Someone comes out the back room, grabs the cardboard, goes back into the back room, and they come out with your copy. I'm like, this is a whole operation for their games. Like, they don't even have them out. That, like, they must have had a thievery problem or something. But it was the first time I ever bought a game there, and it was fascinating, man. Like, I just, as someone who's used to like go to GameStop, you grab the display case, they go into the back drawer. Okay.
Right.
It's a little, I get not keeping the disc out there for the gamers who are going to steal.
Yeah,
but like for a Costco to not do what like a Best Buy is doing with the security cases, I was kind of surprised. And I just thought it was a story worth passing on to potential flyby shoppers like myself who were like, you know what? I really don't want to do that extra 15, 30-minute drive. Like, let's see if we can get it at Costco. And I got lucky.
I got a question. So you bring this cardboard slab up to the cashier where you're checking out with your groceries and stuff.
Yeah.
They stop what they do and they yell out to the homie, and he comes from an undisclosed location.
I think she yelled out like number 2. She yelled out something on number 2. So I guess they got a code word for when you got a game.
Okay.
Or maybe there's actually a Costco worker in our audience that can clarify what the command is. But she yelled like her stall 2.
2, right.
And like some type of command.
Right.
And this dude comes out. He grabs the thing and then goes back in.
And he run in with the slab. Yeah. He go back in the dungeon, go get the joint.
Yeah, and he came out with his game and handed it to me after it was all like paid for. It's not like I'm judging. It was just like, wow, that was really different.
Yeah,
so
the reason why I'm asking is because have you been to Toys R Us back in the day or at all?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like this weird variant of Toys R Us. Instead of having you go to the caged area or whatever where you give the slip and then like they got to go get until after it's purchased and send your man to the area. It just seems hilarious.
Walmart is the toughest because I always got to hunt down. For some reason, Walmart never has like the electronics dude in the department.
He's never in the kiosk ever.
They're never there.
Never
it's insane. So I finally tracked someone down in like the fucking furniture aisle. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get a game here. Like, do you mind? Can we like get this? And then you got to point at it. And, for me as a weeb, if I'm like, yeah, can I get like Persona 5? I'm just feel the mild judgment as this like middle-aged lady's just getting this out. She's like, this fucking dork.
All judged and stuff. That's hilarious. Yeah, I would love LSM fam. If we got any Costco workers, I'm dying to know.
Costco's got great benefits apparently. So someone's got to be working there in our audience.
Fair enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. If you're a patron, you get early ad-free access to this show every Thursday. Otherwise, we'll see you on Sundays on YouTube, Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, all that fun stuff. Defining Duke Ultimate, we're doing back-to-back episodes. We just did part 1 of our review discussion and spoiler cast for Starfield. It was myself, Cog, Randall Thor, Gene Park. Amazing conversation. Very short, non-spoiler conversation because we felt as hosts, we have been so silent on the big talking points for this game. And eventually they'll be less taboo to get into. But now we have the chance to pull the lid off. And so that's what we did here. We had a hour and a half, 40-minute conversation on everything Starfield's main story. Now I said part 1 because part 2 will be side content, faction storylines, pretty much everything else, right? So we wanted to give our audience the opportunity to consume the game, given its scale, how they will. And instead of having a marathon one show, split it up so we can, of course, pad out a couple episodes, give you time to play, give us time to produce, and do it the right way. So that's out now and also coming out this week on Defining Duke Ultimate because Colin's wedding is happening. So he didn't have time for Sacred Symbols Plus. He asked me to cover with the DDU episode. Happily, I obliged, especially Colin had our back. We missed the DDU 1 month. And he did an impromptu showcase. We'll talk about showcases later.
Colin had a showcase.
Colin revealed a lot of games. He did an impromptu Q&A, which was really appreciated. So I wanted to return the favor. So we did a Lies of P review discussion in Spoiler Cast. We were tossing around a lot of ideas like a Forza conversation, but we had the team and the desire for Lies of P, and selfishly, it's my game of the year. We'll talk about it later. So I was like, you know what? We're going to do that. So that is a hour and 40 minutes too. That'll be available this coming Sunday. And so it's myself, Dustin, Gene Park, and great episode, dude. That is I got to say, man, like that is one of my favorite spoiler casts we have done because that game has layers, especially with that ending. Layers, Cog. I'm telling you, we'll talk.
We'll talk.
If you are going to give any Souls like a chance,
This
right?
is the one.
I think this is the one. It's tough. I'm not gonna walk you into, innocently walk you into danger here. It is tough. But after boss 1, you can summon, and the story is so fucking cool. Love it. So we did a full spoiler cast review discussion on that, about half and half. We did about 45, 50 minutes of non-spoilery talk, and then we got the spoilers. We went all in on that ending.
Dope.
And everything else in between with characters and bosses and all that. So that's available, or that's going to be available on Sunday. So you'll catch us on DDU in back-to-back weeks if you are a patron. We'll see about getting Starfield out to everyone. I know we're starting to ramp up a lot of our content for the holiday break, so I don't want to pressure the producers too much. But hey, we give a lot of good bang for your buck at a low price over at Last Stand Media's Patreon, so you can go ahead and check us out there. Cog, any thoughts on the spoiler cast, or shall we get right into it?
It was phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. Shout out to Gene Park. Send some love to Gene Park right now. I saw the tweet up. He's going to be, taking care of some medical stuff, and we sending him some positive vibes, some positive energy. Spoke to him. He loved it. Rand Outdoor hit me up this week. It was like, bro, I listened back to it. It was phenomenal. I loved the spoiler cast discussion we had.
I love casting with Rand.
Yeah, it was so dope. And I highly recommend it, because one thing about it was that all our unique perspectives and all of us learning something that each one experienced that the others didn't experience. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So highly, highly recommend check out that spoiler cast.
And Gene just blew the doors open on the ending and what it means. Like because he interviewed Todd Howard and told them what he thought the ending meant. And Gene was on the fucking money. And that's something I've realized with Liza P, with Starfield. Like Gene has
beast.
Y'all better be reading every review this guy puts out, because this guy has a keen eye on game details that I don't think many have. Like his level of analysis is borderline unmatched. Like I get imposter syndrome when I hear him talking about games and how he interprets the message. I'm like, dude, that's so elegantly put. That's like poetic, and you just fucking nailed it. And it makes sense on how you got that. He's so good. So if you want to see Gene really in his bag, listen to that Starfield episode or Eliza P. Like he's amazing, man.
That's the man. That's the man.
All right, Cog. Let's talk with our audience. We didn't get a ton of write-ins here, but we got some. Wanted to round out the conversation from last week with Davey Supple's write-in, and then we'll get into a ton of news this week, because certainly there's a lot to talk about. What up, dude bros? I feel compelled to, first of all, totally agree with Lady's comment last week and give my own personal feedback on it. Please understand, I mean this only as positive, constructive criticism and no mean disrespect. My, quote, issue, end quote, with the current attitude or tone of the we are right and only focusing on negative comments is like this. I'm newish to the podcast and roughly a year ago and now. And the reason I listen is because I love your guys' input. And I would say I even agree with you 90% of the time. But more recently, it's been a lot of everyone doubted us and everyone is writing in to tell us how we were wrong. But I don't see or feel that. I absolutely agree with you guys. I absolutely agree. You guys should be praised when you call things correct. I should have proofread this one. I apologize. No offense to Davey. I should have proofread this one, though.
You're good.
But I get this air as if you're putting your fans into one category when that's simply not true. Sorry for bringing this back up. I understand if you don't want to read on the pod, but I felt it was important to say. Hell, part of the reason I started following Colin in the first place was hashtag Colin was right. He was right about most things, and so are you guys. But I know that, and that's why I'm a fan. Can we talk about Stalker 2 kind of day? Davey, thank you for writing in. And I just wanted to thank everyone who wrote in Patreon-wise comments. There were a lot of Patreon. Most of our write-ins topically had to deal with last week and just following back up, giving us some extra support, which honestly, I say this not ungratefully. I really wasn't looking for. I was trying to just let us take it on the chin, make our adjustment, and kind of turn the page. But a lot of you were supportive and stepped out and backed up even our behavior, which was nice. So we certainly appreciate that. We're not changing it all before anyone ever worries about that shit. We're not bending the knee to a bunch of comment boys or anything like that. It's just more so we recognize what kind of hosts we are and just don't know if we were acting in line with that consistently. But we thank you for supporting us and for giving us a good stern pat on the back and letting us know we're doing all right, kid. So, Cog, any final thoughts on this, or shall we officially close this chapter?
Yeah, we could put it to bed, but I definitely agree with you. I felt like, again, I don't look for that stuff, but I felt like an overwhelming positive response from people who probably normally don't comment and was like, look, we love what you guys are doing. You guys have good, positive energy. We look forward to listening to you guys. And I thought that was super dope. Because I think every now and then, as a content creator, you do need that, because I think the majority of stuff is, again, not LSM. I wanted to clarify that as well. Not LSM fan. LSM fan, y'all the truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Run with the Dukes, y'all the truth. Let's be clear. Most of it came from what I feel like when it goes to free feeds and then certain people, try to sabotage. But it was good to see kind of like a positive energy from people actually in that sector as well. So salute to everybody. And again, not meaning we're absolved from criticism and stuff like that. But it was super dope to see it. It made me feel actually really good. So salute.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into the news, Cog. There's actually a lot. Originally, the script was looking pretty dead, but these last 2 days have filled it out. Xbox has started to visit new members of its first-party family in Blizzard and King this last week. Windows Central reports that Microsoft wants to, quote, be a source of trust, end quote, for Blizzard. Now, I want people to note that particular angle there. We're not talking Activision, we're not talking King. He's talking individually about Blizzard. Make more sense in a moment here. And enable them to, quote, achieve its visions and dreams, end quote. Interestingly, Mike Ibarra, president of Blizzard, shared a photo featuring branding of Xbox and Blizzard with no mentioning or integration of Activision with the Blizzard branding, as it usually is, and perhaps indicating a separation between the two incoming, which there's been reports, people saying that Activision meddles a little too much, and that's what's thrown Blizzard off their game potentially. We'll see, obviously, as time goes on, if that ends up being the case, now that Xbox is calling a lot of these shots. But Cog, we've seen the tour photos, the band's on tour right now. We're seeing the pictures on the Blizzard campus, which, by God, that's a lot of fucking developers. Insane. We saw the King photos. They're making the rounds right now, and it seems like there isn't a plan in place yet, but more so a lot of listening being done. So what did you make of what you saw here and what Windows Central had to share, although it's not a major breakthrough? Just what do you make of the ideas Xbox has right now?
Look, it was positive energy for me. And the reason why I like to see it is because, Blizzard, this is a shout to Jessica. Like, he loves Blizzard. Like, he's like, you can't say I'm an Xbox fanboy. He's like, I am a Blizzard fanboy. Like, those are the games that are the soundtrack to his life. Guys, games like WoW and Diablo 4, and, saying things like that. But for me, what I gauged out of it was, again, that separation. Remember, they went to King first. Now, we knew at some point they got to stop at Blizzard, right? And to see that synergy as far as listening to that team and maybe keeping them separate from the rest, maybe that's a future vision there. But honestly, the most important thing for me was the symbolic nature of the picture of Phil Spencer and Mike Ibarra. And again, like, Mike Ibarra was a former, kind of like an Xbox lifer, so to speak. I know Blizzard represents his dream job. And again, I'm not guaranteeing that just because of this picture, this means that he won't be going off, to do other things, or they may bring someone else in. But for me, who kind of knows the history, this is symbolic. So I've always been on the side of, I would prefer, again, if Mike's career says he wants to, stay, I'm of the side that, hey, we should retain him and retain Rod Ferguson, right? Because the reality of the business is when you make mergers like this, there's going to be overlap and there will be layoffs on redundant positions, right? Yeah. And if Microsoft had people in place who they wanted to take over Blizzard, my main concern coming in was like, damn, I would love for them to keep these guys because they understand both sides of the business and they were former Xbox guys, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing. So I'm going to monitor it, but I thought this was it was a symbolic thing. The vibe I got with this, Maddie, to be honest, in conclusion, is just that the real work begins. These are a lot. This is, like you said, that picture is huge. You see Matt Booty, you see all the people there. You see Sarah out there. You see, Lulu Maservi out there. You see everyone's taking pictures, and that's cool. But the real work begins of past culture, changing that and integrating these things, and we're going to see how they operate. But I thought it was a good symbolic side. So let's see what happens after. But what did you get out of this, and what did you get out of the Windows Central article with potential separation? Not like what do you get out of this?
One thing that's going to take some adjusting to is when Xbox, Satya Nadella said in an earnings call, we'll talk about some of the revenue stuff later, but he said in an earnings call, like, we're going to have a strong holiday period led by first party titles, Forza and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I'm like, they're fucking claiming that too. Like
Already.
we just got here, but it's ours now.
That baby is ours.
Yeah,
That's our
they are
child.
not wasting any time. I got a kick out of it. I was like, okay, all right.
Hilarious.
I was like, I see how this is gonna go. You guys are not wasting any time. When it comes to a source of trust, I mean, I think that should be the goal for all companies, and not that it's exclusively for Blizzard, but it seems like they've identified potentially a problem among these companies, and that they need to help this particular vertical out the most, is what I get from that, if it's true, which Lindo Central hasn't really steered us wrong before. To achieve its visions and dreams, I'm curious what that exactly entails. I know Jez would probably be up the wall about this because, he is big on Blizzard. Like, that's his company, right? So I'm sure he'd have more insightful input beyond that because, like, I think of Blizzard and a lot of their blunders with Overwatch and a lot of their because like they just make very confusing decisions. And I hope that this leads to them getting away from that. Like what they did with Overwatch 2, I know it's in a little bit of a better place now to my understanding, but what they did with Overwatch 2 just egregious. It never ever made sense. And so as long as I'm looking at it from a product standpoint, if we can start to eliminate that decision making, if becoming a source of trust, like, hey, we got you, do this. If that's what it leads to, great. If that leads to that Odyssey game, whatever this survival game they're working on, that may end up being an exclusive, if it leads to it being a better quality product, great. Like, I think that's where the real work starts, because that's probably the closest thing we have outside of already existing products. So I'm interested to see the impact there, but they're making the press tour, if you will, and getting all the photos taken. But I hope people are ready for this all to take a long while, because that's my other takeaway. Is I think this is a lot of initial reports are going to happen, and it's going to cool off. And hopefully they've learned with Bethesda, like what the public expects, and to be able to act in the best interest of that. Because again, something like, I always go back to it, but something like Redfall, which reportedly blindsided Bethesda, or I'm sorry, Xbox completely. Now they're more prepared for that. So if they have anything coming out that they're putting, they're like, okay, MW3 is yours. Like, hope it comes out strong because you've claimed it now. So, that's the other thing. I hope people are ready for the long road here, and that hopefully there's not as many blunders.
No, you're on fire, and that's the reality, right? And now again, we get the excitement of the acquisition, but now the work begins. And I agree with you on the product standpoint, which is we cannot have Redfall situations. We can't have, I didn't know what was going on, and we didn't have, like, bro, you got to be boots on the ground. You got to, and I'm hoping that's what's happening here. What can we do to help you? What were your past challenges under the past regime that we need to fix? And then here's the thing that you got me thinking, and you made some fantastic points, is that we really got to look at Blizzard represents a strong PC contingent, and we know that is where they're looking for growth. We have to see what's going to happen with the future of BattleNet. Overwatch, we already talked about, with how it had its blunders out there. A lot of people felt a new game wasn't even necessary. Was that was that a sum of pressure that they had to come out with a new game, and then they didn't even meet their expectations? That Diablo 4 now resurging, but prior, remember, two Defining Dukes prior to this, it wasn't in the top 50 on Xbox games played, and I know the community was very upset. Now, Season of the Vampire, this new thing that's out right now, I just checked, it's surging, it's coming up, it's back in like the top 20 or something like that. So Diablo's back.
Made a ton of changes. Apparently, a lot of people really like what they've done.
Yes. So on the product standpoint, and then the other thing is, I want to see what they do with WoW. I never played WoW. WoW's the OG. How do they handle that? How do they handle the Game Pass integration? How do they handle it if there ever might be a console version of WoW? There's a lot of options here. So I'm hoping that these talks are fruitful and really helping Blizzard get back to that glory Blizzard that Jez Corden loves. You know what I mean? Because that's one of his reasons why he was really hype about this, because people were frustrated. Blizzard hardcore was frustrated. So I'm hoping for better days for that group.
Absolutely. Let's keep rolling on, Cog. We have a Fallout TV show to talk about here, which on Bombs Drop Day, which is October 23rd, Fallout lore for you, begins airing on April 12th, 2023. So not too much longer here. 2024. And a lot of people thought this was a little underwhelming, and I would agree, because at Gamescom, they had this teaser trailer that had leaked. And so people went, okay, like to the day, it would have been 2 months that trailer has been ready. So many people thought like, okay, bombs drop day, like we're going to get something because Bethesda opened up on their Discord out of nowhere a Fallout announcements channel before the weekend started. So people were like, something's getting announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably not a game because you'd think there'd be an event for that. So it's got to be something related to the show. And I thought it'd be the teaser trailer. Still no trailer, still no look beyond pictures that have leaked, really. But what is in that teaser trailer looked awesome. I'm very excited to pick that apart when it is official and when it's in high definition. But yeah, it's airing April 12th, 2023. And a lot of people have been asking about things.
We got to throw that 4 in it, that 2-4 in it, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did I say 23?
Yeah.
Thank you.
First podcast.
Yeah, God, I'm fucking up already.
Trust me, I've been losing track of time and date, bro. Lately I've been the worst.
I gotta stop writing my dates. If anyone noticed, I hesitated when I first read the Fallout TV show date because I take a moment to like make sure I'm getting it right. Funny enough, I got it wrong still. I just need to write it out in words, but it's quick just to do 4/12/24. Anyway, point being, it's coming out April 12th, 2024. A lot of people are wondering, connected that it's really not the show date. Like, that's cool. That's great. It's about what's connected to it. Like, there's been a data mine over on 76 where people are saying like, oh, Vault 33 jumpsuits are coming to the game. When's that happening? Probably with the show, first episode. Where's the Fallout 4 Next Gen update? I'm thinking like maybe they said it's coming this year. So I'm at this point, I thought this would be the day. That would have been the day to do it. It clearly wasn't. So the 8th anniversary is on the game's release date, which I think was the 10th or the 11th in November. It's like, okay, if you don't do it then, I don't know when we're doing it at this point. I don't. And they said it's coming after Starfield. So, I mean, the window's getting tighter and they're adding like bonus Creation Club content. They're upscale. I mean, there's a lot coming to it. So a lot of people are excited. I mean, it's funny that people are still excited even after Starfield. But yeah, man, it's interesting because there's this expected blowout for Fallout content between the next gen update 76 with the Atlantic City expansion and then the Fallout 3 remaster, which had leaked, right? And now the show, like people like me are finally getting fed. So people are now in that hungry anticipation, angry state. I've noticed like when I posted my follow-up video on the news, which I didn't hype up at all. I know for a fact I didn't hype it up at all. I was just talking about what was happening. And then in the next video, some dude was just like, I'm tired of these dudes hyping up all this news. Like it brought me back to, I bring it up because it brought me back to like my 2014 days where people would blame me for just talking about shit. I was just like, oh man, like I love the Fallout community. They just haven't changed. They're literally the same. It's incredible. So that's what's going on with the Fallout TV show. Those are my guesses on the surrounding Fallout content. Cog, what do you make of this release date for the first episode in 2024 where this was done, by the way, in a Twitter trailer, and the first episode looks like it's going to be called The End, which seemingly indicates it's going to be a pre-war focused episode. Yeah. At least that would be my big takeaway from it. So what do you make of this information, Cog?
Look, I'm getting more hype for this Fallout TV show because I'm starting to see the potential of, what it could be. And we saw those, that teaser trailer, whatever. And we thought, hey, a lot of that stuff that leaked looked really good. And I'm really getting more excited about it. But I'm with you as far as like the game synergy, right? And I think they really have to capitalize that. They really need to nail that because you want to get that Fallout remaster. You want to get 76, everything Fallout related kind of lined up within somewhat proximity, or at least get the hype train going now to lead in to, have like a rollout, so to speak. This month we do this, Fallout Shelter maybe does that. And, here, like just get the Fallout name in the mind share. And I'm confident they will, but it is interesting to your point about the remasters. Like, okay, wasn't it supposed to be here? Like, where we at? You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So that part is curious. It almost reminds me, of Larian with the whole Baldur's Gate 3. A lot of people were coming like, hey, wait, when's it coming? And didn't they say between this month?
For it, right?
Yeah, and we'll talk about that later. I have some thoughts on that. But yeah, I'm with you on this. They know the importance of this, but we're starting to get to that. Okay, when are you going to do that? When is it happening? Kind of thing. So we'll see. But I am excited for this show. I am going to tune in. I think Fallout is always, as much as you probably think I'm a Fallout hater, I always think Fallout.
No, I don't think you're Fallout hater.
Okay, cool.
You're clean in my book.
Okay, cool. Well, make sure Maddie know I love Fallout. Like, I always felt the concept of Fallout is rooted in realism that is scary, right? Where you're like, yo, this could happen. You know what I'm saying? With the way the world is going and stuff like that. So I'm excited. The end.
I am excited as well. So again, April 12th, 2024. See you there. Defining Duke is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. I'm a big fan of Squarespace because of its asset library. You can upload, organize, and access all the content from one place in a central hub across the entire Squarespace platform. I've actually, and I can't disclose what, game development things, but I've built a couple of websites over on Squarespace, and the flexible templates they've provided, all powered by their Fluid engine, which means it's never been easier for anyone to just unlock their creativity and get in there and make their own website for whatever it is. You can reimagine your whole site, drag and drop technology, desktop or mobile. It's great stuff. So what are you waiting for? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Duke to save 10% of your first purchase of a website or domain. It appears that Project Maverick, the Xbox exclusive project from People Can Fly, developers of Outriders, for those who don't remember, are hiring with upwards of 40 open positions, with a lot mentioning a requirement for passion and knowledge of RPGs, as well as familiarity with Unreal Engine. So a little bit of details there. So I think someone pointed out in our Discord server for Defining Duke, and it was such a good point that I wish I got the name. I apologize. But they made such a good point that Xbox has so many RPGs, and they're going through their partner program, right? They're like, okay, let's work with these game studios here. And Matt Booty's like, you're making RPG too. Like everyone's making fucking RPGs. So I know this won't last forever. So I'm just enjoying this. And I thought Outriders was, me and Colin did a spoiler cast review discussion. Colin had a ton of story takeaways that it just blew me away. I was very surprised, but like for the gameplay, that game was awesome. I thought it was so fun.
Oh yes.
I think it cracked my top 10 that year. So I had a blast with it. But for you, Cog, what do you make of People Can Fly working on a RPG in Unreal Engine for Xbox exclusively?
I'm super excited about this project. People Can Fly, now that I look at it, even before that, I believe they did Gears of War Judgment. And it was, not saying it was like the best one in the series, but I do remember them implementing a mechanic where like the encounters change each time or something like that. And it was unique to Gears, and it felt fresh. It felt new. I liked that idea of it. And it was, kind of like a sideline story, Baird, I believe, and stuff like that. But it was good. I am completely with you.
You liked it. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a Gears of War Judgment hater. I'm never going to put it on the level of 1 through 3, you know what I'm saying? But I don't feel it was as bad as everyone makes it seem.
I think it was just a repetitive like they took horde mode and made it a storyline,
right? It was basically to flesh out characters that we don't really use that much, that were the side dudes. But I never got mad at it because I did like that mechanic. It's just been so long, I just can't remember. But it was kind of like encounter based where different things could happen, if I remember. And it was a unique thing, and I did like that. But yeah, may have probably overstayed its welcome a little too long, right? But I don't hate it. But Outriders really resonated with me. And as a person who loves looter shooters, as a person who respects a new entry doing it right, outside of the technical issues, which they were game breaking, and they had your boy in his boxes at the start screen for like 2 months. Once that was resolved, you know what I'm saying? But the game itself, the reason why I was so angry because I was loving the game and couldn't wait to get back into the game. And I wanted to finish it. I did eventually finish it much later, but Outriders did a ton of things right. And as a person, the thing that the quality of life, and I always felt, Destiny, you need to learn from this UI, item management, builds, freedom, not restricting. And then to you guys with your spoiler cast, story wise, they didn't take it so seriously. They were having a good time, that kind of thing. But anyway, back on point with this. So open world RPG. I mean, well, we think in open world, but passion and knowledge for RPG. I'm excited. I think they got a lot of potential, man. So whatever they want to do, and if it's an Xbox exclusive, which it appears to be, I'm super pumped for this. So yeah, I think this could be a special project, and we'll see what the perspective is. If it's over the shoulder, third person, which seems to be in their wheelhouse, and if it's if you want to have some high graphical fidelity, you could qualify as a hashtag just one. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
New IP. Let's hope.
We'll see. Yeah.
We're going to talk a bit about Forza here. Forza Motorsport has set a new day one record, beating out other entries in the series by 300%, making it the most popular Forza has ever been at launch. Now, this information comes from trueachievement.com using their tracking data. So this isn't an announced statistic from Xbox yet, but I thought it was worth bringing some attention to, given we last spoke on Forza Motorsport and thought some of the player numbers were soft. They increased since that episode, where it is one of the top played games on Xbox. But previously, the most popular launch, according to this site, was Forza Motorsport 3. The number that was discovered using True Achievement data had tracked members where Forza 2023, we're going to call it, had 83,364 members playing and earning an achievement, while Forza Motorsport 3 sat at 25,288. So a pretty significant leap there. Obviously, the number is much higher than this, but it still indicates that at first, it was actually, the stats are pretty flat and in line with everything from the Forza series. Like they had a whole line chart for it. But then when it hit its actual launch and people were like, I'll give it a shot, it skyrocketed. It's like way above every single other one of the Forza games. So it's definitely doing well player count wise. I'm not hearing much buzz about it online, which is a shame. But because again, I guess it's my expectation, I think many others, has been that this was going to be like a slam dunk big time.
Right.
And that's not that it is any less than that, but we're not hearing as much talk as I thought we would. Meanwhile, Forza Horizon 5 continues to set new records as it has reached 34 million total players. So, Cog, with all these Forza stats here, how are we feeling about the franchise?
I feel they're really doing well. I mean, as far as motorsport, because to be honest, like again, I'm not the motorsport guy, and I was concerned, like you, that the numbers were soft initially, and I was like, But then I checked most games play. It is currently number 16. It's ahead of Forza Horizon 5, which I feel is the darling. But to Forza Horizon 5, defense, it's been out for a while, right? But to be in the top 20 on Xbox for what I consider a simulations racing game is pretty impressive. And the last thing, I want to shout out the homie Ibantis from The Last Word. He's a Forza Motorsport guy. And I think the thing is, once they lessen some things on the car RPG aspect, to give the hardcores the ability to get their Lamborghinis or to get their desired cars and stuff like that. And one or two little minor changes people are complaining about. But I feel it's something that can be resolved and will continue to grow over time. But I thought that's a strong start for them, especially when it most likely came to Game Pass and then kind of bumped up. So they're doing well. That's how I look at it. And Forza Horizon 5, that's the king to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to top. That is the most successful Xbox Game Studios title right now. So. Yes. The bar is set pretty high by them. An open beta for Final Fantasy XIV is happening on Xbox from January to February next year, so you can keep an eye out for that if you're looking to bring the experience there or try it for the first time ever. Cog, will you be firing this one up?
Yes, I've never played it. Yeah, Addict, I want to hit him up on this, and I've heard great things. So yeah, I'll give it a shot. Absolutely.
Nice. Love the open-mindedness. Yeah, I want to give it a second chance too, because anytime I've tried to get into Final Fantasy XIV, I've had a tough time. Yeah. So, Starfield, we're going to talk about this in congruence with everything else here when it comes to Xbox's earning results. So let's get into it. Starfield helped set a record for the most Game Pass subscriptions in a single day in the service's history. Meanwhile, Microsoft has released its earning results for fiscal year 24, Q1, and Xbox's gaming revenue is up by 9% year over year. Xbox's content and revenue services grew by 13%. Meanwhile, hardware revenue had a decline of 7%, which technically stands as an improvement from the previous quarter, where there was a 13% decline in hardware. Meanwhile, Microsoft Gaming had a forecast for growth next quarter with the addition of Activision Blizzard, where they see gaming revenue growing in the mid 40% and content and services growing in the mid 50%. So, Cog, I mean, this is a massive shift, a massive expectation, no doubt fueled by Call of Duty. And what I took away from this, a couple of things. The main thing I wanted to set up and then tee it off to your direction is you see Starfield, you see what it did with subscriptions. And then I looked at the hardware stats, and Xbox, they're selling more units, right? Like we've seen sales have increased in like the UK and Europe, but overall the hardware revenue continues to be in the negative, even when they release their biggest game of the year. So what this tells me is their approach to the digital age is working. That's what it tells me, because people are signing up for Game Pass more than ever, but at the same time, people are not buying consoles more than ever. So that was the first thing I really looked at and thought a bit about. I went, okay, is this kind of goes in line with what we've talked about with their next generation, that hybrid platform, which we've anticipated will be both an app and a device. Like you don't need to have the system, is my personal, it's what I'm anticipating they're going to do. That's not a guarantee, but I see stats like this. I'm like, even Starfield, not doomering it, but like even Starfield couldn't put them on a hardware side on the incline, even 1%. It technically was an improvement, but you're still declining. You're still not selling as many. And I get it. You look at the generation, how deep we're in, 3 years, but I feel like this is the system seller, right? So what do you make of it? Am I looking at this the wrong way? Do you have the same takeaway here? And of course, anything else from these numbers?
Yeah, I mean, first, I do want to, I think what it is two things. First of all, I want to, again, still give credit to Starfield as far as, Game Pass subscriptions and the amount that they had per day. I still would love to know the hard and fast numbers as to what those subscribers are. Yeah. But, they are claiming that they had the most, that single day, they had the most growth in that, thing. And they also talk about 11 million players and stuff like that. That's nothing to scoff at. As far as the revenue side, the forecasts are huge. You know what I'm saying, that they're showing right now. So that's good. And then I think the way I look at it is this. I'm not going to sit there and say gaming hardware being down is a good thing. I'm never going to say that. But what I am going to say is I think we do have to look at them a little differently in the sense of what you said, which is what their vision is. To me, it's services and revenue seems to be the focal point of what is most important to them, right? So services, revenue, Game Pass subscriptions. Again, I know they don't like that console sales are down, but also the way I look at it, also, and I'm not making any excuses for it, Starfield was kind of the first, the way I look at it, like that's like your first big hit in forever.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Right? So it's like do you want to go and buy a console of like, what's the future? What is the next release? That's a good point. Yeah,
that's how I look at it. So to me, this is like a starting point of good vibes finally, because prior, and no disrespect to Forza Horizon or anything like that, nothing was captivating the masses in that way, where you're like, yo, I got to get an Xbox. And we definitely know nothing was captivating the masses in 2022. Right? So
Pentiment, come on.
No disrespect to the legend, you know what I'm saying? But people, what it goes to show you, and this is why, I was kind of hard on Phil, and I hit him up, and it's just like, look, this shows you what good games could do. Good games.
11 out of 10 games.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I was always going to fight back on that comment. I didn't like it because I was like, this is proof. When you launch a quality product, they delayed Starfield and made it what it is. Again, not saying the game's perfect, but I will say it's one of those games that we're going to look back and critically didn't receive the acclaim that it deserved. But the people have decided based on what this game is doing. And I had Jezza on Sunday. He made it. It's almost, Bethesda games are almost single player live service, because you keep going back to them. There's so much you haven't seen. It's so much. So, and it's a good point. It's a unique style of single player games. May not be for everybody, not perfect, but it has a following. And the last thing I'll say is it shows me, and we talked about RPGs, the Western RPG, there's a desire. You know what I mean?
Baldur's Gate, Starfield, Cyberpunk, yeah.
Bro, there is a desire. Even though we're talking games of service, this, that, and third, there is a desire. So that's pretty much all I got on it. But yeah, I do want to see if console revenue continues to improve, even though it went from 13 to 7. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see if it continues to improve. But as far as the way I look at them, their services, their revenue, and they are subscriptions, And I think that means so much to them. And this is a big push for them. They're trending really good in the right way.
Well put. Well put. Otherwise, it looks like Activision's going to have a massive impact, and they're expecting content and services to grow in the mid 50% next quarter with the addition of Activision Blizzard. So what do you think that says about what they plan to add to Game Pass, right? Certainly there's something there to create a surge. So I feel this is, and I might be reading too deep into the tea leaves here, I think this is the first indication that we're getting some type of showcase showing very early next year, like we did at the top of this year.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, like, again, we talked about the rollout, right? You got all of this stuff. I expect a drip feed of content throughout the year. I expect, Diablo at some point to have, season of the whatever, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to be a big influx. We talked about my bet on Call of Duty at the end of the year. We talked about the back catalog drop throughout the year. Look, they're betting big. They're talking 40%, 50%. That is insane. That means they know they are sitting on things and they expect huge growth. And that's why I want to chart console growth. Again, once Call of Duty is technically allowed to be marketed and associated with an Xbox console from a bundle standpoint, Black Friday, whatever, then I'm going to see, does it have that effect that I think it will have? And I'm looking forward to it. This is big. This is big stuff because the excuses are you got the things, man. You got the guns. Now you just got to line them up. You got to market them correct. But for that to have these type of forecasts, they thinking about showcases. They're thinking about, obviously we got BlizzCon coming up soon. I don't know. That may be too late in the game to expect anything big there, but that's coming. But then we talk about, obviously we had a partner showcase that we just recently had that we'll talk about. But next year, maybe it's a direct, maybe it's something. And you got to have that round table.
Yeah.
You still got to have that ABK round table at some point with Mike minus Bobby.
I wonder if the interview that they did with Phil in the Xbox podcast, I wonder if that was the kind of substitute.
It better not. No disrespect. I love Malik. I love Tina. I love Jeff Bruce. But you've got to have the heads of Blizzard. You got to have the heads of King. You have to tell your audience what this means. What does it mean for Game Pass? What does it mean for the Xbox future? I think I'm 90% confident it's going to happen. I just think that what it is because the legal thing took so long, it drained them out. And it's like, okay, we have to be separate. We can't plan like that the way we want to. Plus, you got to get your eyes off the regulators that you've been doing foul play or something. You know what I'm saying? Beforehand,
act too fast.
Tampering, right? You don't want the tampering charge, the sports tampering charge, right? So I think next year these guys have earned a little break to close out the year because of all the stress of the regulatory process. But next year we will get one of those, and I assume hopefully Mike, Rob Ferguson, Bobby, and whoever is in place. And they got to decide what they're going to do once Bobby leaves. That's another thing that may hold it up because they have to have a replacement in place. So
good points. We're going to veer off the Xbox stuff for a little bit, just talk about a few other tidbits, and then we'll talk about what games we're playing. Talked last week about Skull Island Rise of Kong. I said in my review it was the worst game of the year, but I also said in my review before any of this was posted, I knew this was the publisher's fault. I didn't even need a scoop. I fucking knew it. And now there's a report from The Verge that says Skull Island Rise of Kong was in development for only a single year, where they interviewed members of the development team, Iguana Bee. And it has now been learned that the relationship between Iguana Bee and Game Mill Entertainment, the publisher, is strained. I mean, if you think,
wow,
I could just tell that this game, because the thing is, it wasn't like a Gollum where they you had the alpha and then they went in reverse. I don't say this out of really respect. The game is still terrible, but Skull Island Rise of Kong, you could play from start to finish. Shout out to my boy Kev Do It. He actually played the whole game from start to finish for one of his videos. It's hilarious. He makes great videos. And you could play this thing from start to finish. It is playable. It's just, as I said in my review, it's absolutely like a pre-alpha. It's like what you call a demo. Like you present it and say, here's the ideas. We need to pretty this up. You give it 2, 3, 4 more years and it comes together as something more special. Mm-hmm. But Game Mill is being exposed here. Wow. And I'm surprised there isn't a bigger pushback because of this, And I talked about it last week. I talked about the Avatar game that they did. Avatar Quest for Balance is like one of the biggest cash grabs of the year. It's just there are PS2 games from the Avatar series, The Last Airbender, that are way better, way more competent, have higher effort than what was on display there. And this team has a stranglehold on all these IP. They do Nickelodeon games. They're like LNJ or whatever it was, LJN from way back when. Very reminiscent of them, where they're just strangleholding these IP and squeezing all of the money out of them without anything of quality coming out. And on occasion, you'll get like a Nick All-Star Brawl, which many people don't like. I'm a defender of, but I just want to bring attention to this, that as I said in my review, it was not, I didn't think it was the developer. The game still sucks. And I'm sorry that they have to live with that. But the publisher absolutely hung this team out to dry. Absolutely. You could just feel it from start to finish, that this had no budget behind it. And I don't know why. I don't get why, because the biggest thing with this game that never made sense to me is, and Cog, you put it hilariously last week. Why did you think last couple weeks was your moment? Like, what did you think was happening? Like Spider-Man 2, MGS Collection, Mario Wonder, Sonic Superstars, and you were like, yeah, punch it. Like that's our time. Like, what is happening? Unless they had no confidence or no money, something happened financially here is my read of the situation. Something happened financially where Game Mill couldn't keep going. I don't want to paint them completely as evil villains, but they're still fucking over hardworking developers, which I don't appreciate. But something happened budget-wise where they ran out and they just needed to recoup assets. And I don't know what it was. And, you know, I know Kong isn't like the most popular IP, but it's still a travesty, man. It's still a complete disrespect to its fan base that this is what they're worthy of. And so doesn't seem like there's any plans to make it right, because guess what? That would also cost money. So
yeah,
what do you make of all this?
Sad story all around. And I agree with your theory. I think that it's probably a budget situation, and it's like, hey, it's got to come out. And, you know, to your point, and I'm looking at his Eurogamer article in reference to it, where it's like, you know, they've had this track record of kind of snatching big licensed IPs and then trying to make the cat. It kind of reminds me of the old days of superhero games, where it's like, you know, you had the superhero movie that drops, and then some publisher snacks up the rights, and they just make some kind of super whack, mediocre tie-in game. The thing with this is, like, I would even understand if there was a Kong movie out right now. Like, then it's like, yo, they want to race out to kind of match what's going on there. But this is a horrible look, and I feel bad for the developers. 1 year, that's terrible. That is terrible. Yeah. So yeah, I don't understand the mentality about launching a game like that with that less polish, unless you run out of funding. And, you know, shout out to Iguana B for standing up for themselves and saying, hey, you know, we were on autopilot. We felt this was unfair, and hopefully those guys land back on their feet. But yeah, this is a horrible situation. This does nobody good for the industry. Question is, if you ran out of budget in a single year, why did we do this in the first place? Right? That's like what an indie dev does. Like, you fly by the seat. Like, this is what we're doing. Like, month to month, we'll figure it out. Like, much. And eventually you get funding, and then like you stabilize a little bit. But this is like a full-on publisher that's put out many games. Like, why are you greenlighting something that had to be out in a year? And better yet, the place where Iguana B can take some accountability is, why did you accept that? The bag had to have been crazy. Is the only thing I can think of. Yeah, I mean, reading the comments, the development process of the game started in June of last year and it was aimed to end on June 2nd this year, an anonymous source said. Other sources revealed the game was made from scratch with up to 20 developers working on it at its time. According to one Iguana B employee who didn't work on Skull Island but worked on other Game Mill published games, it was very common for the team to be provided with limited information on projects, meaning they had to improvise. So, yeah, it just seems like that's like an artist working with no concept art. That's fucking crazy, man. Literally, you have no story structure, no infrastructure on what you're doing, and no basis, no foundation. That's horrible condition. So yeah, they're calling Game Mill out. So I would love to hear. I mean, in fairness, I would love to hear their side of why they thought this was a good idea. Absolutely. But yeah, other than that, I just got to take it face value. This was just terrible. Yeah, I agree. Curious what you think of this one, Cog. IronMan from EA Motive will be using Unreal Engine 5, and Gene's words are echoing in my brain. It's in pre-production here, because he was like, didn't they
announced this a while ago, and like now it's in pre-production. Kind of crazy. So, what do you make of this news?
Yeah, take it a little long. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a engine switch or anything like that. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of UE5 when it's, at its best. It looks absolutely phenomenal. As far as I'm playing a lot of UE5 games right now, and it's resource heavy. Look, Iron Man, the concept of it should be fire. It's one of those games that, one of those characters and licenses that you can do so much. I mean, I rave about the VR version of Iron Man. It is fantastic. Originally on PlayStation VR 1, now MetaQuest has it. Man, they did a phenomenal job. And so I am looking forward to an Iron Man game. I think he suits well for video game, but it is interesting why we are in pre-production now. So yeah, more waiting, more waiting. That's how I look at it.
Well, I guess that gives them time to do maybe like Dead Space 2 remake. I feel like such a fraud, man. Like I was just so against it, and now like after playing Dead Space remake 1, I'm just like, man, y'all got any more of those Dead Space remakes? Like I could use another one. So because I want them, you know what it is, man. It's just like how I feel about Resident Evil. Now that this isn't a spoiler, but I'll just say if you beat RE4 remake, you'll see that it just heavily indicates like they're probably going to remake 5. And that's what I was on board for since the start. Like it was cool to experience 2, 3 for the first times, play 4 again. But for me, like in my heart of hearts, it was like, you got to do 5. You got to do 6. And for Dead Space, it was okay. Like I warmed up. All right, it's fire. You do 1. Okay, do 2. But you got to do 3. Like, you've got to remake 3. That's the one that needs it. So that's how I feel, man. So it gives them a little bit more time maybe for that. And then they can let Iron Man cook. Very interested to see what they come up with here. But it'll be at least end of the generation by the time we get this one, which is unfortunate.
That's unfortunate, yeah.
All right, Cog. Assassin's Creed Red, the reported next mainline entry, had art leaked in a LinkedIn cover photo, and I have the image here in our document. As expected, as reported, Assassin's Creed Red will be a Japan-set Assassin's Creed game, and this seems to potentially be the protagonist. So what do you make of this, sir? They're finally doing it after all the years of begging and pleading in a post-Ghost of Tsushima world. All I'm saying is if I'm Ubisoft, I am praying to every god, goddess, lord, saint, any religious figure in my life that no Ghost of Tsushima news drops between now and when your game releases.
Facts.
Like if I'm begging because they missed their window. Ghost of Tsushima showed up. That game is amazing. Woo. And it just was like, oh, wow, they reinvented the Ubisoft formula. Like they got the guiding wind, the combat rocks. Like they did the checklist stuff just right with new refreshing activities. Like everything was done exactly how we wanted it to be done. And it scratched that itch completely. So now here comes Ubisoft finally with AC Red. Japan set. We get a look at this protagonist here. She looks awesome, by the way. What do you make of this?
They better not mess this up. They better not mess this up. Look, man, I am probably my favorite IP from PlayStation is Ghost of Tsushima.
Wow, that much? Okay.
Like literally it's my favorite new IP. I don't get me wrong, everything else is cool, but when they did that, I was like, oh, I am so in. I am so in. Like feudal Japan, it was just perfect.
That's very you, like the
it's
slow
so
sword.
Me. And let me tell you, like whenever Colin, he lets Cobra Commander, when there's the Ghost of Tsushima spoiler cast, the Gaming Ninja will be there.
Yes.
That is my game.
Yes.
And then the thing they did with the duel, the old samurai thing, the pan camera right, pan camera left, the matchup,
Kurosawa mode. Yeah. Very cool.
So cool. I could go on about Ghost of Tsushima. They took their lunch. Assassin's Creed it's like how we get mad at Horizon. We're like, bro, when are you going to do the Tokyo joint? Right? Yeah. When are we getting on Tokyo Drift nighttime? This is literally money just waiting for,
that would be the one I would put so much time into. I know myself well enough to know if Horizon 6 was Tokyo set.
Yeah, because you got the crew out here at least attempting it, right? The new crew, they got it. So I look at Assassin's Creed like, yo, y'all was supposed to been in Japan. Again, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be open-minded. This is Sovereign's franchise. Y'all better not mess this up. And then here's the other thing. A lot of Assassin's Creed is like, Ghost of Tsushima is dope. but it's more combat and samurai because you can play the samurai way or you can play the stealth way. And I understand it's not a pure stealth game. I get that, but I just love the duality of how you can play as Jin Sakai.
But none of the Assassin's Creed games are pure. No, I shouldn't say none. Most of the Assassin's Creed franchise is not pure stealth. Like one of the first things the first game shows you, which was identifying what the rest of the series would be, was you drawing your sword on 4 guards and fighting them in broad daylight. Like the game always had combat. Sorry, go on.
I love that you said that because this is a little beef that be a soft guy because he is Assassin's Creed guy and he goes to Tsushima is average. It's okay. Like he don't.
What does he think of Mirage then? I gotta know.
So he's with you. Okay. He's 100% with you. He feels that
balanced man. He just
Sav.
He never lets the emotions take over.
Listen, that's my brother, and like. One thing I love, he provides so much balance to ILP. Like, I don't know where we would be without Sav, to be honest. He's the unsung member of Iron Lord's podcast. But to your point, he just said, Mirage, he's like, look, we get it. You wanted to simplify, you want to go to the essence, but you did not. You have to evolve the stealth formula somewhat. You can't just give us bare bones, old school. He literally said everything you said verbatim. He feels the same way you feel with Mirage. Like there's still a ton of stuff they need to do. So with this, that I want to see, cool protagonist. That looks good. You got the pagoda in the back. That looks cool. Let's see how you accomplish this because you better not hope that these dudes, because we know Ghost of Tsushima's coming. They got a movie coming. You better stay clear of that news cycle because I know. Let me see. I'm gonna start some trouble. I know who coming, and when he comes, you're out of here. You don't want him outside. I'm telling you right now. So you better be right. You better do this genre right. Let me stop.
Honestly, the timing is kind of scary for them. That game came out August 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 or 5 year cycle. I mean, it could be their time to start talking about it. So and you got Rise of the Ronin next year, which looks awesome. So
great, we'll see.
Ubisoft, I'm praying for you, man. I'm praying for you.
I'm praying for you. And Colin, like I said, Sega boys, I'm putting in my request early. Ghost of Tsushima 2, whatever it go down. I'm part of that. I'm bullying my way onto that show.
Oh, absolutely.
But shout out to Assassin's Creed. I'm pulling for them. I hope they do their thing. That's the OG. Let's just please do it right.
Last bit of news here. We'll talk about what games are playing. Lords of the Fallen had a pretty muddy launch across all platforms. I remember the Xbox version apparently was just busted. Despite that, sold 1 million copies. 1 million copies. Crazy, man. Yeah. Crazy. But there's a hunger for these Souls games. There are. If you have a high fidelity Souls game, you're going to sell. Lies of P pushed 1 million copies. Lords of the Fallen pushed 1 million copies. Like, obviously, Elden Ring's tremendous success speaks for itself. Like, people want this genre big time. And so we'll talk more about this genre later with a certain game. But, Cog, what do you make of this? Any thoughts on Lords of the Fallen pushing 1 million plus copies sold?
Pretty much what you said, which is the Souls genre is alive and well. High fidelity Souls. I got a chance to play this game behind the scenes, me and Addict, PC version of it at PAX West. Developers were super cool. I will say that it's a high demanding game. We were playing it on like a very powerful PC.
That's a UE5 game.
So. Yeah, that get because they're doing a lot. That they got you running around with this lantern, and it's literally switching dimension. It's rendering 2 games at once, bro. So I kind of knew, like, when I go to console, we're gonna see. And obviously, you saw the controversy where the PlayStation and the PC one had the patch day one. Xbox didn't have it at day
Haynes was posting on Twitter like they patched this game and he couldn't play it straight up. Like anytime he tried to start it up, it just said like there errors occurred. So this game was in a pretty poor state. And I've heard good things about the game itself.
Yes,
but
the game itself is fire. The boss fights are fire. The concept is fire. But it's a technically demanding game. But even with all this stuff, it still did fairly well. So there's a desire for it.
All right, Cog.
Yo.
Time to get into what we're playing. I love that we're sharing this game. So I want to start off with the other one on your list here, and then we'll talk, right? So go for it.
I'll be honest. Last weekend, there was only one game that dropped for me. It wasn't no Mario Wonder. It wasn't no Spider-Man. I'm going to be honest. I am Tekken to the core. And when Tekken is outside, bro, I was treating that beta test part 2 like it was a new game release. And my addiction to Tekken is so bad. It's so crazy. Bro, I was playing for hours. So yeah, they dropped another drop, more characters. We got Raven, we got Asencia, I believe her name is. She's kind of like the Peruvian new fighter who has this coffee kick, and she is absolutely hilarious. I love her fighting style. It's very elusive. She has like a rhythm-based style. She is a problem, and she may be a little OP. And Namco, you want balanced team? We're gonna have to talk to you.
Harada-san needs to get in and start nerfing a little bit.
Harada-san, she's top tier already. Very high priority moves and flashy. This game is absolutely stunning. It truly, like it. I've played it on all versions now. I'm in the beta on all versions of this game. I started off on PS5, then I went to the Steam one, and I got it on ROG Ally 1080 60 UE5. Gotta give it to you guys. I didn't think he was going to do it. I thought I was going to have to bring these frames down. I thought it was going to be some, and it's playing on pretty much medium setting. This is a well optimized PC port. Want to take that off the rep. Then got the Xbox Series X code for all of console fanboy.
You were all over with it. You are really treating it like a brand new game.
Homies. Let me tell you how bad it was. I found a Connect that had the codes. So he was like, "Yo, you want the homies to play?" I was like, "All right, cool." Got the Connect. Got all my team in on it. So it's all of us playing Tekken. Then I got to tell you about they have now a new. It's called like Online Lobby Arcade Quest. So
tell me about that. I'm very interested.
Now this is fun. All right, so basically you make a little avatar of yourself, right? So you walk around. It's like half PlayStation Home, half Street Fighter online thing. But what they're doing is you go into like these. There's like a dojo section. All right, first of all, they try to get their monetization on. You could outfit your little character. You could buy a little, it's like Avatar. It's like Xbox 360 avatars of yourself in Tekken, and you run around. But what's dope is they got like a legit arcade scene. So you go there and they got little units where it's like a big circle, like almost like Vegas slot machines, where it's like 8 of them in a circle, and that's group play. So you jump in there, the rotation will go with that group, you know what I'm saying? And then they got 2-seaters, 4-seaters. So you're looking for looking for available spaces. The cool thing, this is where they won. They haven't done this since Tekken 5 PSP, which is Ghost Data. Ghost Data is one of the most vital things to get better as a fighting game guy. So let's just say Mr. Matty Plays is in there. Me and you, every time we fight, you washing me. Right? I'm like, damn, I can't beat Matty. His Lars is just too strong. Right?
I love how you associate me with Lars.
Yeah, so he's like, damn, I can't. His Lars is wrapping me up. So what you do is, I walk next to your avatar, and I see Ghost. So you hit that. And then your avatar gets into an Indian style stance with a joystick, and he's like this, and there's a little ghost. So I'm playing against your ghost. Every time you play,
kind of like the Forza Ghost,
bro. It fighting? Is way more advanced.
Wow,
this thing has every tendency, everything you do. It is you. Like, I'll shout out to my boy Kabatsu, who is terrorizing this week. He is nice. He's putting in work. I got to get in the dojo. This boy beating the brakes off me right now. I got to get better. He is handling me. So it's not till I got harangue out. And then, because I was testing around with martial law. We got to talk about it. For my Bruce Lee fans, they did it. They did it. I'm talking about Enter the Dragon with the big shades, with the old school suit. Bro, the essence of this is the best Bruce Lee representation I've ever seen. It's not even close. So martial law, he may be back in my fold. We got a roster spot for you.
Did anyone mess around with Claudio Serafino?
Yes. Oh, he's a problem. He's a problem.
Is he a poker again?
Poker, that blue hand, his range from distance, and his interrupts and juggles. He got some hop kick. He was giving me problems. I fought a lot of Claudio players.
Yeah, he was my main in 7. He's on the drawing there. And then, he's
right there. Yeah. Oh, he's a problem. He's back. Yeah, I love he got this blue outfit, the hair. Yeah, he's a problem. I fought a lot of good Claudio players. And So
how is June? June Kazama. How's she? Is she cool?
She is kind of OP, but what's weird is I agree with Harada. Her character usage is down. I thought, June is back. This is it, bro. She is super powerful. She's got some joint where it's like if she low parries you, she can get health back. Her strings are very powerful. A lot of priority frame data stuff. She's a flowing character, and then you still got the counter to deal with. So she has great defensive options. She is the problem. Every June player I played was either, if not beating me, these matches were super close. She's very good. Okay. And this is against my harangue when I was fighting her. So, yeah. So any other questions, let me know. Any other fighters you...
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of the roster, but that was like the main two I was thinking of. Like, it's because like Mortal Kombat 1 was a sober reminder of like, oh, I'm definitely going to go and beat Kung Lao. Like, Kung Lao is my boy every time, 10 out of 10. And like, he feels like shit in that game. And
he's got...
I had to switch it up. And I mean, I went to my other main from MK9. I went to Katana, and she feels amazing in that game. Like, her aerial attack is so fun to pull off. Yeah. You know, it was a reminder, like, the person I'm hyping up.
Yes.
So, like, I got to go in, like, Lars. How's Lars in this? Like, he looks so dope. So.
Lars is super dope. Yeah. Lars, that he has a move, it's called Silent Entry, where he gets into a low stance, and then he could do all these options out of it. And he's very fast. His mix-ups are crazy. He's got very dominant, disrespectful moves to you. Grabs you up by your throat. Like, he a little too dominant in this situation. Okay.
That reminds me. Sorry, I'm going all over the place.
Please. I love taking questions. I love it.
King is the wrestler, right?
Yes.
Is he in this game?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man. I feel like, okay, so just remember I was at this party in college.
Let's go.
This fucking dude, like we fire up Tekken 7 and this guy's like, let's play. And this fucking sweat pulls out King, and it's the dude to command grab combo you. And I'm just sitting there like, I'm not even playing the game. I'm like, why is he in the game? Why is I don't see the skill. I don't see the talent. Like I'm calling all you King players out. I don't see what's so special about you that you belong in my lobby because there's no counter to what you're doing. Now, tell me, Cog, am I having a skill issue? Is King a problem in this game? Right.
I know what you mean about, you're talking about the King guys. There's two types of King
players.
They
just roll you around.
Yeah, they roll around you. They put you in the link. You sitting there watching your energy bar go away.
Flexes you, twist arms, and you're just watching it all happen.
Yeah, and what it is
unbelievable.
The King, you're playing against the guys that all they want to do is to grab the system links and all that. Those guys, you just got to learn the escape commands at the beginning parts of the grapples, right? Those guys are annoying. I'm not going to hold you and say that. I will give them credit because all they're doing, what I consider them is the 10-hit combo guy, right? The guy who comes in, as soon as he starts the match, he's doing the 10-hit combo that can't be interrupted. You just got to block. Okay, you're finished. Okay, now I'm going to respond, right? So it takes patience, but it's very difficult. They try to take advantage of new players because they want the easy win. So they're doing those grab links, right? You got to just learn your escapes. A lot of times it's either left punch, right punch at a certain time of the beginning of the string, and you eject it. And then what they'll do is they'll try to do the variant if you figure that one out. So as long as you know one or two of them, you'll shut them dudes down. But I will give King players this. His basic fighting is a problem in a good way. Like, I've seen King players, they ain't using no links. They out straight, roughing you up, drop kicking you, doing all type of physical attack moves. So I got to give the King I always have a rivalry with him because he's the natural harangue counter because he has a kick reversal. Right? So he can reverse kicks naturally if you play that way. But I usually solve those guys because I'm a flamingo feint. I'll feint you. I'll do all the stuff. And once I see you do this and you didn't catch that, I got you. Because I know all you're trying to do is be defensive and I'm going to get you up out of here. So, but I will say King's fighting in Tekken 8 is so improved. I got to take him very seriously. Like he has a lot of...
Everyone's really good.
Everyone's up. Man, I was trying to say the person who is the most annoying is Jack 8. Jack is ridiculous. Yo, you remember how he used to be a joke character? The big Terminator, big robot dude. You don't know Jack. Bro, these Jack players are savages. They are grabbing you from long distance. They're doing low moves from long distance. I hate him. He stuns you. The brute guy. And they fast now. They're not slow and lumbering like they used to be in Tekkens back in the day. Oh, no. These Jack players will get you, and they're super powerful. So I will say that, the game is phenomenal. Just to finish on the lobby thing, The ghost data is a game changer because it literally, I ghost practice against my boy. I'm like, yo, I got scared. I said, yo, Skynet is here. This is the I'm like, that's how he fights in every. Karada is raving about this ghost data that they use. They use a chat GBT. They use something. It is amazing. I'm like, all your tendencies. Yeah, bro. AI. Yo, Skynet is aware. I'm just telling you right now. But Tekken 8, phenomenal. All I want from them now is I love that they're doing these continued network tests. All I want from them now is to I need a mode like Mortal Kombat where I don't have to go to that arcade lobby thing, and I could just grab the homies, do like a King of the Hill rotation with just the homies.
That'd be cool.
And that's it. So I'm separate, but from that mode. But the mode is good. But yeah, Tekken 8, January cannot come here soon enough.
Not much longer, man.
Bro, I had a tear when I couldn't launch in the data on Monday. On the beta, I was like, "Damn, it's my game."
And we haven't really seen there was that Tekken Forces leak. There was
they got a Tekken story mode section. They got a section. They got that. They got the story mode. There's so much they haven't shown yet. They're being coy with that. Does that
bring you confidence or fear because they're not like showing potentially the strongest parts of the game?
No, I'm confident. I think what it is they're so rightfully concerned about the net code and making sure that everything works right and cross-play. Remember, we got cross-play in here. So I think they're doing it the right way. I'm fully confident. The only thing I will say is I'm going to temper my expectation that this story mode is going to rival anything Mortal Kombat doing. I don't know if they're doing that.
If it's on that level.
then it's like, oh, they back. But look, it's going to be phenomenal. I just want to see how they execute that portion. But Tekken has always been the king of bonus modes. But yeah, that's been that. And then obviously you share this other game that I had to force myself to play because Tekken was here. But that's how much I'm a Tekken head is Spider-Man 2. I know this is a defining Duke, but Realm of the Dukes, we got to be real.
Talk about what we're playing.
What we're playing. That's what I'm playing. And I'll say this because I'm assuming you either finished it or have way more hours than me.
I have finished it, yeah.
Yeah, I figure Attic finished it as well. But I have about 6 or 7 hours. I will say right off the bat, this game, first of all, from a fidelity standpoint, fidelity mode, I'm playing on my OLED, 120 hertz, VRR. This thing is stunning. This is
smooth too. I didn't even know it was on fidelity mode. I went into the visuals and I went, wait, what? I was like, I'm not changing it. And that's the first time I've ever done that.
Same thing. I was playing it in performance mode. And then I had to throw the VRR, put it up to 120, and then I switched to fidelity. And now like all the ray tracing is on. It is stunning. First of all, the thing for me, which is the game changer, is the movement. Because when it's one thing to do your swinging and your little skirting, but that web glide is sick. You know what I'm saying? And then when you do obviously you got the skill tree for Miles, you got the skill tree for Peter, and then you have the combined one. And I think the one where it changed for me is the momentum swing from low. Bro, you could start zipping. New York looks absolutely phenomenal. The story is really good so far. I love where they go. I'm still not a fan of Miles' voice. But
you don't like? Lily said the same thing when I was playing it. And I was like, I think he reminds me so much of the voice from the movies.
I guess if you're going for the movie thing, it's like, bro, like half black, half Puerto Rican. You from New York, like. I don't know my guys that sound like that. It gives me a little, not as bad as Forspoken, but it gives me like, bro, like that's not how they sound. But I'll get over it. It's just a minor nitpick. I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm so disgusted, but I'm like, I just wish they could have toughened that up a little bit. But it's all good. But as far as New York,
I definitely don't take him as seriously as like I don't. Performance. I get what you're saying.
But I love fighting with him. The venom punch, his powers, electricity. Sick. You know what I'm saying? Peter, obviously we know about Symbiote. I love the L1 and R1 mappings to the joint. Now I gotta be real because this is gonna be a controversial thing. And I gotta be real. Like, I've had what I consider game progression bugs. And they were pretty bad. I saw yours on your timeline. I gotta be real because here's the thing. One of the worst things you could do with me is within the first hour to 2 hours of your game, Like literally, I'm not going to spoil who the first boss encounter is when you start it up, but it involves a lot of swinging, and it involves you doing a cinematic move and pressing the triangle button to advance it and to finish said large boss off, right? Bro, I'm sitting there, I'm doing all this stuff with Miles, I'm webbing the face of the character, I'm doing all what I'm supposed to do. Triangle, I'm like, bro, I am pressing. So am I messing up? What? I had to literally die for the game to restart and then figure out, boom. And then I had moments like this during the game where the game was telling me L1, R1 to do whatever, doesn't do it. And I'm just like I'm okay with graphical clipping and little minor. That to me is not major stuff.
Gameplay though.
Yeah, it's when I can't advance past a section because your game is not registering commands or is broken on certain levels, that's a problem for me. And this game, from what I hear, shout out to ACG, I had a good conversation with him and John Linneman from Digital Foundry, is that, because I want to be fair to the reviewers. The reviewers I hear did not experience this. They launched a day one patch. This day one patch caused all types of problems. For the masses that got the game, and the last one, this was the one that was really egregious. Besides the early tutorial one, there's a section where you enter a school and it's like a stealth section. And during this section, I used the term stringing up in ILP. A couple of fanboys like, Cog is lying, there's no stringing up. I didn't want to spoil what you were stringing up. You have to string up an item or get something off of someone. Right? That involves you getting to a specific area and then the L1 or whatever that button prompt happens. And I'm like, yo, what the F? What's going on? And I'm like, I have to literally get spotted, restart the checkpoint. Now, thankfully, the game has great restart the checkpoints. And that's what saves me. But I have to be real. Like, again, I'm not trying to console war, but I will say a lot of people were pegging Starfield for issues, right? And all I'm saying is the version that I have, it was rare. I know, I shout out to Iban. Iban said he had a game progression bug on Starfield on PC. Yeah. And I know I'm not saying that they don't exist, but this game has that. And outside of that, it is an amazing game. You know what I'm saying? And I'm dying to hear what your thoughts are on the ending and stuff like that without spoiling too much. But look, I'm just going to keep it real. I still love the game. I still think the game was phenomenal and I'm going to beat it and finish it and what have you. But I just had to point that out because I was surprised because I'm like, yo, this is Insomniac. Like, this don't never happen. I never had those problems with
it. Part had some bugs.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's been some cracks in the armor for sure. Because Spider-Man 2 is definitely buggy for sure.
Did you have that in Miles Morales or Spider-Man the 2018? Because I didn't really have that kind of stuff.
The bug I got with the spider cube,
I saw that.
That was apparently in the first game. And on the conversation surrounding bugs, I don't want to get too into the thick of it, but I will say that, to call it as it is, the reception to these bugs versus any other game has been something I have never witnessed. And I genuinely mean that. Like, there are mad people hyping up the bug I got. Like, going like, man, that should be a feature. And I'm not saying like, oh, I read a tweet or two. I'm like, there are mad people who are like, that's funny. That's amazing. I love that. And I wasn't mad when I got it. I was more mad that the bug I got before that, I won't spoil anything, final cutscene, floating heads. Awful way to end it, man. Awful way to end it. Like, like progression bugs, and for me, like things that disturb the story, which is one of the main pulls for this game, cannot be doing that. You cannot be launching like that. It was frustrating, dude. And just to see the reception be like, it's okay, guys. I get it. Insomniac's on another level, so they are given that pass, but they do deserve some heat for this. A little bit. It's not to take away from the rest of it, which I have my praises. I have my critiques, but I have my praises. But when it comes to the performance of this game on a technical level, I don't. It's inadequate. I don't think it was ready.
I'm with you. And I just want to say one last thing. The thing that was bothering me is to say people are lying or overhyping something that is game progression or immersion breaking from the storyline and stuff like that. I don't think that's fair to that group too. That's why I did speak to Linneman. I did speak to ACG. Am I bugging? Is this because people were attacking me? And I'm just like, hey, this is what I experienced, kind of thing. And they were like, no, this is what they are experiencing. Yeah. And we attribute it to a potential day one patch after the fact that may have broken the relationship on certain things.
Yeah. As for the rest of the game, Spider-Man 2,
now. Yeah.
I really like this game. I walked away with a lot more problems than I thought I would, though. And if before, and I am going to get mildly defensive here because I know we're an Xbox show talking about the biggest PlayStation exclusive of the year, probably for a long while. I will just say this: go check out my Retro Rebound channel. Look at how many Spider-Man videos I've produced. Look at how much I love the hero. Mm-hmm. My critique comes from being a massive diehard fan of comics, movies, and games based around this dude.
You sound like King right now. King had a similar thing. It sounds like what you're about to say, but I'm going to let you finish.
I just want to make it clear to people, all right? Because I know the audience listening knows that, and who watches us knows that. I know I'm not going to please the flybys. We've been through that. But I got to just make sure I'm covering my ass here and let people know, like, I am speaking from the heart that Spider-Man 2 is an amazing video game, really high highs, I think really low lows. I was really impressed with that opening, and I feel like the pacing in this game is just so up and down, though. A lot of time is spent setting up the open world content with missions that take away from Peter's story, which ramps up tremendously in the third act, by the way. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely, I feel, take away from Miles' story. I think Miles gets a lot of attention, but he's more like the supporting member to Peter instead of like, he has his own story and it does get a resolution, but it feels like it comes together like that. You can feel the cut content in this game. I can feel there were changes made to this story all over, and that they were just plugging gaps. And so a lot of the focus of the story has been runtime. And what I said in my review on Retro Rebound was, the runtime is not an issue. The fact that this game is short is great. I love that we get short games still. And I love that some of the set pieces in this game are incredible. And you want to talk about seeing the PS5's SSD on display. This game, the way you can slingshot yourself across the city, the set pieces where you're fighting a big boss and you are on one end of the city, wreaking havoc through buildings all the way to the other. It is incredible. Seriously, what they have pulled off here. And it's not like I'm looking for more of that, but they spend so much time, I feel, in that limited runtime away from the main characters, the building of the surrounding pieces. And instead, Miles is going to go talk with unlock a Prowler stash. And it's like, hey, now this is on your map. And I know they realized this and started changing things. I won't spoil what this other activity is. But there are like 2 to 3 activities that you're going to get toward the end of the game, and they just unlock as you're web swinging. They're like, hey, this is on your map now. Cool. And that's it. Like, there is no stopping of the story. They let it keep going. So they're self-aware. They're absolutely self-aware. And I know people will respond to the story pacing concerns and be like, it's only 2 hours. Like, why does that matter? It's 2 hours in like a 9-hour story. I mean, it's more than that to me. But I'm saying, like, even if it's a small vertical slice in such a tight-knit story, you can't afford to waste that time. You can't. And I think the game suffers for that. Okay. I think it suffers a bit from, and this may be the Spider-Man fan in me more than anything, seeing all these stories, seeing all these angles, all these takes. I've replayed all of the games in the last year. Like every Spider-Man game, 2000 on, has been replayed. So yeah, like I'm very familiar with all these tales. I played Ultimate Spider-Man. I played Web of Shadows, these very symbiote-focused stories. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is on the back of the box, wherever my copy is, I don't know, they talk about it being an original take on Venom. To me, that is a big selling point. It's a huge selling point. Like, it's hard to do an original Venom story because we've kind of seen before, like this personal villain of Peter's that you know in your real life, and there's that awkward face-to-face confrontation. It felt like a setup to really feed off of what the first game did brilliantly. Now, in fairness, the first game to me, part of the reason I found it so masterful, I was walking in the dark a bit, right? Mr. Negative, Martin Lee, didn't really know much about him. He is a relatively underutilized character in comics, and this was the first time he was brought to the forefront. Mm-hmm. So he really, with his connection to Miles and Peter and Norman Osborn, his motivations, like he was a fucking amazing villain for that game, right? And the way they created the power vacuum at the start of the game, getting rid of Kingpin, like just masterful storytelling. Where I feel this game, you know what the next beat's going to be. It doesn't make like the set pieces any less epic. Like, it's impressive, but a lot of the emotional punch, like there was one moment in the final act where I went, oh, wow, they did that. And it's more like a deeper cut kind of Spider-Man fan thing.
Okay, got you. Okay.
And some fans actually might even take umbrage with it. But for me, I was like, oh, fuck, they like.
Yeah, I think that's what King took umbrage with some change character-wise.
Yeah, it's definitely like not how the character's supposed to
go. Because King is such a comic book dude. He's like, I hate, but he's like going off. And I'm like, all right, so you like that change, though. Okay.
I wouldn't say I like the change. Like, if I'm a comic book junkie, you're probably like, where the fuck? But like, that's what I'm talking about, where like, I thought like it's cool that this is on the main stage. Like, this is a big part of the story for a brief moment. It's cool, but that's where I felt like, man, they were just fucking figuring things out with this story. And I think they lost something here. I think they lost a piece of the puzzle. Doesn't make it bad. It doesn't it was definitely like a full story told, but I definitely walked away from it. Like, I like the first game's storytelling way more. Way more. And even one of my closest friends who's a diehard Spider-Man fan walked away the same way. Like, we were the most hyped. Like, holy shit, I couldn't wait for this. It was marked on my calendar, and y'all know me. I take my time with games. Spider-Man 2 was like a 1 weekend burst. Like, I was thoroughly invested in seeing like what twists and turns it would take me on. I wouldn't say I wasn't disappointed, but I mean, because here's where the game does an amazing job. Performance. Yuri Lowenthal has always been the perfect Spider-Man. I said that before even Spider-Man 1 happened. Bro, I knew it in the first game. I was like, they got something here. And I knew when they started to mess with the black suit, I was like, this is why they picked him. Because not only does he match that kind of like, you know, wisecracking, some semi-nerdy hero. Yeah. But like, I've heard his performances like Sasuke Uchiha. I know this dude's got another level when it comes to grit and dark characters. I've seen him in so many JRPGs. Like, I know he's got that piece of him in him. And they just, with the symbiote suit, let this part of him run fucking wild. Nice. And it's awesome to see where they go with it. That was my favorite part, to see where they went with things. So yeah, Spider-Man 2 has amazing moments. It is a well told, it's a worthwhile story. But it just, to me, compared to what I thought was a masterpiece start to finish in the first game, like, that is my favorite PlayStation exclusive. I should have prefaced all of that. It was hard to beat this, but I knew it could get even. And I feel like it was a redemption arc for Spider-Man 3, the movie. Like, like Symbiote Peter is no longer a joke. Like, this is how he should have been done. That felt right. I think Kraven as a villain, last thing I'll say on the story, love the setup. Love the utilization of him. Insomniac works better with these villains. They work really well with taking the underutilized and making them way more important than you'd ever imagine. Like Mr. Negative, Kraven the Hunter, the way they turn Kraven into a supervillain hunter.
It's fire.
Awesome.
I love the Kraven
awesome
take.
idea. Yes. Like, that's how you do it. So, not that Venom's a bust. Venom has fucking awesome moments. The game's great. Just as a story that left with emotional impact, I saw every single beat coming, which in the first game, I was on the edge of my seat. No, I remember that was one of my favorite review periods. I was glued to my screen. I literally could not pull myself away. I was like, I got to know everything. I platinumed the game before it came out. Spider-Man 2, a little bit of a different story. Combat, I'm curious to get your thoughts, Kyle, because I think it feels really good.
I love the combat. It has a rhythm to it. And I felt like and then obviously parrying as well as dodging, it was definitely felt good. I love the mapping of the abilities on that L1, R1 situation. And you start to get into a rhythm, you know what I'm saying? And I love it, especially a lot of the powers from Miles' standpoint, which were group and electrical to take out groups and stuff like that. Obviously holding down box, punch up. Some of these abilities are really dope. Like, I'm not even going to hold you. And then Peter's obviously, obviously symbiote. And then pre-symbiote, you have the kind of the Iron Man kind of flow going on with the tendrils and stuff like that. The suits are great. I really started messing around with some of the editing on those joints, some really classy joints. But yeah, the game combat wise plays phenomenal. And I'm a sucker for. I'm a sucker for some boss battle QTEs with some cinematic flavor.
I wanted to play the game in the way they wanted to present it, but the QTEs, a lot of people on my retro rebound review like misinterpreted that because I said I complained about the QTEs in this game. I was like, why are they constant? And people were going like, whoa, they were in the first game. I'm like, that was a problem in the first game too. Like, and I think that I genuinely believe the first game had less. I'm happy to be corrected on that, but I don't remember it popping up that much. But in this game, it felt like if you go through that story,
yes,
there are a lot of QTEs. A lot. Yes. Like I'm talking, we go back to the superhero tie-in days, like you were talking about, like that level. Like there was a lot. So I'd be curious to see someone size them up and if they're equal or not.
It is a controversy among some right now because some people feel like this also kind of plagued not to the extent of Spider-Man 2, but Final Fantasy 16 in reference to where we consider less gameplay moments and it's just really you're on rails and you're doing QTEs at many spots.
I have thoughts on that too.
Yeah, so it's a controversy right now. And I know I've had this discussion with Addict big time and he hates it. He wants it to go back to traditional, more gameplay stuff. I'm on the opposite side a little bit. I don't get mad at it. I will say I understand the criticism. The criticism is fair. But I am a sucker for a set piece. I ain't gonna hold you. So I don't get as angry as everyone else do, but I understand when people say, yo, bro, I'm not really playing anything right now. I'm kind of just going through some cool thing and waiting for the prompt and stuff like that. But other than that, I thought the experience is dope. I'm gonna get back to it and try to get it done this week if I can, schedule wise. But I've been loving my experience so far. But I do want to end it to join you guys with the discussion on, direction and narrative direction and stuff like that.
Yeah, when it comes to the combat, I mean, really the web swinging I should start with, like that feels so good.
So good.
I like my purist is like I can't stand the web wings. Like I just don't use them at all. Like I want to play a Spider-Man game. I don't like it, and all the respect to Insomniac, I was playing it and they're already doing Spider-Man. Definitely gonna do another one of those. Wolverine, probably gonna do another one of those. And I'm playing that. I'm like, yo, they could make a good Superman game too. Like the way I'm flying through at warp speed.
You going through those things, you catch the updrift and
I just it doesn't feel like Spider-Man. So I choose the web swing. I avoid it when I can. I don't like the rings randomly appearing, like the visual cues. It pulls me out, like the wind just wisping next to a bridge. I'm just like, I'm nitpicking. And I know I am. I'm being very honest with myself. I know I am, but I just ignore the fuck out of it. I'm like, can I web swing? Good. I'm going to do that because it feels incredible. The physics, the momentum, the tricks, the animations, like Miles falling with his arms
with
open,
the arms out with the dive, and then get the momentum, and then
so good,
it's beautiful,
so good, so classy. Love it.
Yes.
Combat incredible. Just to think of where we started. I was playing Spider-Man 64 for a video.
How far?
Look at that. How incredible. I love that game. But like just to look at that, where it was this kind of like, oh, we're gonna do a comic book game, right? And then it was only good for the movie tie-ins. And to look at like what I remember when Arkham City was coming out, and we got Edge of Time, and people were like, "What the fuck? Like, why aren't we getting a Spider-Man Arkham game?" And then Amazing Spider-Man comes around, and it's like we have Arkham at home. Like it's like nothing crazy. I'm sorry. I'm always making these jokes while you're drinking, bro. I feel so bad.
Oh, it's hilarious. I love it.
But it really did feel like that. It's like, and I remember I ate that shit up, and I still like the first Amazing Spider-Man game, but you play it like, all right, it's not Arkham, but like, we're getting there to finally be here, having this kind of combat, and not only the 2018 game, but Spider-Man 2 is awesome. Yeah. I don't like the parry system. The accessibility settings let you change, like, okay, if you need a parry, it's going to be yellow. If you need to dodge, it's going to be. I know people are going to be sick of me.
Let's go. Let me hear it.
Why wasn't it like this in the first place? Because the combat in this game, you'll see, it gets crazy. Like they throw mad enemies at you, and I love it because you have some power fantasy moments, straight up. Mm-hmm. But like, dude, there are enemies that need specific counters. There are enemies that you need to dodge, enemies you need to parry.
Yes.
And they give you the same heads up indicator for both. So it's just when you're in the mess and you're like, oh, that's a dot. No, that's a parry. Fuck. And you just get hit.
Got it.
Kills the momentum. So I don't know. It's good that you can change it. I'm glad they have the option there. Mm-hmm. I don't know why it wasn't like that in the first place. But that was a big complaint of mine because it was just, it's a initial flaw of the combat system that it should have been designed a little different. But
It's chaotic. I would just say in conclusion for me, this is why again, kudos to them, kudos to Insomniac. These are the guys that started with on Xbox with Sunset Overdrive and stuff like that, and to see their evolution is just tremendous. And this is why I will stand on by Square for the hashtag Just One superhero game as well. You know what I mean?
2.5 million copies in 24 hours.
Hey, seems like people like it. Seems like people want it. And I feel like, hey, I don't think it's be out of pocket to have Xbox have a licensed IP Marvel game. So I'm defending my brother Addict because he made a video about this, and I've always been on this. Like, I would love, even if it's DC or a second tier kind of hero, whether it be from Marvel or something like that. Yeah, like there is a demand for this kind of stuff. So yeah, Xbox, if you're listening, I'm always going to stand up.
Yeah, that's the thing is the game, like it's extremely fun to play. When it lets you play, that's the thing, man. It's not even the QTEs, it's the camera reorienting. Many people like that stuff, and I respect it. I mean, that's definitely PlayStation's MO nowadays, but it's really the early stages, the early like 5 hours of this game. There's just so many moments that are like, okay, here comes the enemy, L1 and square. It just stops the action way too much, or it's like you're crawling around, fix the camera, now you crawl this way, fix the camera. It's just little too much of that. Little too much of that. It feels like they're not trying. I get it, because you got to make the game for audiences like me, people older than me.
Yeah,
definitely people younger than me,
younger as well.
But it's an awesome game. It really is. I find myself wanting to go back to it. I'm gonna platinum it. It is a really fun time. It's just like I said, I walked away with way more critiques of this than Spider-Man 1. But I think this one will age better than Spider-Man 1, because I went back to Spider-Man 1 as well for a Retro Rebound video, and the antenna setup system that they did, where it's like, okay, now the Ubisoft towers, here's all your objectives. That was awful going back to that. And the fact that they got rid of that in this game, full improvement. Great decision there.
Did you hit all your jump shots?
Yes, I did hit all my jump shots.
Make sure. Okay.
Cool. I thought they would give me a trophy.
I thought I would get a trophy for that.
Yeah, I was really hoping for like a swish for every shot, because like they're adding a mission replay later in the year, so I was like, like you could let people go back and just, your story's short enough, you could just go back that way too and just replay. But hit all my jump shots.
No doubt.
High score on all the Coney Island mini games. All that. Yeah,
no doubt. I was just there too.
All right, Cog, we got one warm up question here, and then we'll get into the rest of the news for the day. Sotelo74 writes in, hey Dukes, with the Keeleys in December and the nominations being announced in less than a month, what do you guys think will actually get nominated for Game of the Year? With such a stacked year of games with the likes of Zelda, Mario, Baldur's Gate, Spider-Man 2, Starfield, Dead Space, and RE4 Remake, Hi-Fi Rush, and even Street Fighter 6, and that's not all. Games like Alan Wake 2 and Like a Dragon Gaiden have yet to release, at least at the time of recording this. I know Alan Wake's reviews will be out, but as of the time of recording this, it'll be out tomorrow. Also, what about the usual indie darling on the list, like Sea of Stars and Cocoon? I don't think anyone can guess what the actual nominees will be. We have a beefy Cog, but when will we see Sexy Maddie?
Holler.
Right. Oh, I like that you're shooting a shot. I respect it. Cog, what do you think gets nominated here? Because I almost feel like you make an exception. Maybe you expand the nominations, because there's going to be a snub one way or another, and there always is. But it seems like now multiple snubs will be there. So what do you make of it?
Yo, I have to be honest. I'm very empathetic to the nomination selection crew this year. This has just been a beast of a year. And you can make arguments for all of these games. You know what I mean? So, man. So I guess the question is, what we figured they usually do 6, I believe, right? Is it like 6 games or it's 5? I think
6.
It's 6, right? What do I got? I mean, Tears of the Kingdom has to be there. Baldur's Gate has to be there. Starfield, in my opinion, has to be there. I'm gonna stand on that one. And people are gonna say I'm biased. Okay, fine. That's fine. I'll own that, I guess. But the people have decided that it's one of the most popular games this year. So I tend to agree. I don't think Hi-Fi Rush is gonna get the nom. As much as I love it, I don't think Hi-Fi Rush is gonna get the nom. I don't think Final Fantasy 16 is gonna get the nom.
It can't. It's not a Final Fantasy game.
You sound like addict. Shots
I
fired.
gotta get my one spice in. All right, go on.
People feel that way. Whew, I think you have to have an indie darling. CS stars might get in there, man. You never know. You never know. I'm hearing really good thing. Oh wait, I got to pick one indie darling. So I'll probably go Octopath instead of the CS stars. Octopath 2. I'm gonna.
You dare to insult my Octopath 2 and call it an indie game?
Indie darling. You know,
it's not an indie game.
The little guy. Wow. The little guy. So we got that, which leaves 2 more. Spider-Man's gonna be interesting. I could see it being there. I think the snubs is gonna hurt you, Manny. I think the snubs are gonna come from the remakes. I think the remakes might not get this.
Interesting.
That's where I'm gonna, because I feel like they've got so. Oh, and I forgot Mario's up there.
Yeah,
people loving this Mario. I haven't played it yet. I haven't played Wonder, but people loving Wonder. Oh yeah, you got you got to tell me.
A Costco copy here.
Yeah, punching up crew. I got to hear what y'all say. That's what I'm rolling with. So one, what I consider the JRPG / indie darling. Mostly the exclusive for each major platform, which includes the Spider-Mans and Starfields. And then Zelda. I think Nintendo gets 2 noms though. I could see Mario. Mario is Mario, and Tears of the Kingdom is Tears of the Kingdom. Baldur's Gate is going to be there. There's no doubt. Larian changed the game. They have too much momentum, and I already told you how I feel about Starfield. And I don't know if Alan Wake. It might be. They might try to pull that. Oh, it's late in the cut. Type joint.
It's just hitting. It's just before the deadline. So
and then a lot of these reviewers. I mean, not reviewers, but the panel might not get a chance. So that's what I'm running with. That's what I'm. What are your nominees for Game of the Year?
I think it's Zelda. Sea of Stars.
Oh, Sea of Stars you got now. Okay.
I think that's the indie darling. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I think Baldur's Gate 3. Easy.
2 more.
Spider-Man 2. And
6.
Trying to think. Starfield, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some people
I could see. I will throw this out here, and I don't know.
Let's go. I think I know where you're going. Let's go.
I could see Starfield getting edged out by Hi-Fi Rush.
Really?
I do think that game seemed to resonate collectively with. You got to remember, this is a ballot. Like the people have spoken of it. It's a people's choice.
Good point.
So like the ballot are the these websites, these outlets. Some of them YouTube groups, not ours, but YouTube groups. And they cast their own vote. So these come across dozens and dozens of ballots. I know many of them don't think much of it at all, but, and so I'm thinking about that angle. Like, what are these review scores? And Starfield was divisive. Like, yes. I like the game a lot. I love Starfield. It's the one I love the least, as I mentioned, of the Bethesda Pantheon. But like, when I look at Hi-Fi Rush, that was like a moment, right? That was a game that surprised everyone, not in just quality, but like, oh my God, it's out now.
Yeah.
And it was not just like a quick, I thought it'd be a 2-hour game, bro. It's a full game, like 10 hours. It's got replayability. I mean, incredible. And it's Tango. Like, it seems kind of like you have the indie darling, and then you have to have the surprise, like, punching above your weight game. I think Hi-Fi Rush is something that would stick with a lot of people personally. But I think most of that list is a lock. I think Zelda's a lock. I think Baldur's Gate is a lock. I feel like Sea of Stars should be a lock. I really do. I'm not as in love with it as everyone else. But again, if you're looking at the reviews it got, if you are there's something wrong with our system. If you are the top 3, top 5 games of the year in the terms of open critic aggregate, and you don't show up on that list, what who's voting then? What is the quality standards? It's the same conversation we have every year.
Yeah, we've had that every year.
There's going to be snubs, but I think my Dead Space remake's not going to make the cut because I think just RE4 Remake resonates with a lot of people deeply. Like there's tons and tons of people that were still playing that game to this year, and the remake's like a dream come true.
Did you have Mario on the list?
No.
Oh,
No, Nintendo's not getting the double nom for me.
They're not getting. You getting one. That's it. Okay.
I feel like a Xbox game. They've been quality enough. A Xbox game has to appear here. If I were to look at that slot and say like, okay, let's say Xbox doesn't, I do think Wonder fills that gap. But I'm staying on my square that I think it's gonna be Starfield, but I wouldn't be surprised if Hi-Fi Rush came in.
Takes the nod for the Xbox. Okay, I see where you go.
It would be fucking crazy.
Twitter will be ablaze. It will be fun to watch.
It absolutely would be. But again, this is Starfield is what I define as the people's champ, right?
Yes,
like
that's how
it's definitely not a critical darling. You read and watch videos online, like the game sucks. But as you always say, the people have spoken, and so I it wouldn't surprise me if it got snubbed. It wouldn't be.
I'm going to use that. I like the people's champ.
It is the people's champ.
I'm going to use that reference.
All right, Cog. We'll talk about all of those nominations when they happen. We'll see who was right, who was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have a lot of news. First and foremost, the Xbox Partner Preview Showcase. We're going to recap everything that was there. But as always, I like to talk about, because Xbox just can't be consistent, the format. Like, okay, what do we make of this approach, Cog? What do you think of Xbox Partner Preview announced this week, comes out this week? I want to hear your thoughts first, but I just thought this was so like they need to nail something consistent here. Like I feel like we got Developer Direct.
Right.
We got it. Like we get it. Perfect. It's not like the showcase here was bad, but like it brought me back to the third-party gameplay showcase days. Like, why do this? Why?
Okay.
I'll get more into it, but I want to hear your thoughts.
So we're going to talk format first, right?
Yeah, you talk format, general impressions of the show.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into those individual.
Got you. I thought format was kind of what I thought they set expectation with the sense that, okay, partner showcase, we're going to have third-party partners. We're not going to have personalities per se, and we're just going to do trailer to trailer. I'm one of the rare guys that actually didn't mind the initial third-party showcase around the system launch, because I don't really care for the personalities and all that stuff. I just want to see the trailers, just get to the game, stuff like that.
You mean in a format, right? Like not what was shown.
Yeah, I'm just talking about
I'm
format.
protecting you here.
Okay, yeah, no, thank you for saying that. Yes, just from the format perspective, I'm okay with trailer, and I don't necessarily need to hear from anybody. I'm okay. Developer Direct, I look as something different. This is when the developer will sit down with you at some point to talk about their vision, whereas this is, okay, these are our partners, and we're going to show what they have. To your point, where I agree, I'm never going to say I don't want to show, right? But it was one of those that I was surprised. Like, okay, do we need this? But the way I look at it is, look, they've got a lot to talk about. They want to give third parties the stage. And I'm looking at it as a building block to improve when you continue to have more either marketing deals, Game Pass deals with third parties, and you want to give certain titles to shine. So that's what this is to me. I didn't come in looking like, yo, they about to, it's coming. You know what I'm saying? Watch out.
Yeah.
I wasn't on that energy. I wanted to see what was there. And we did hear a couple of titles before that we knew were going to be there that are getting close to release. So I'm like, okay, but that's it. But overall, if you want me to do like my rating of it, that kind of a deal,
go ahead.
I can't give it no higher than a 6 or 7. Like it wasn't nothing that I'm like, yo, they here, bro. Like, I mean, most of this we knew. We got a couple of extra things, and I felt one mistake is made selfishly for me. You know what I'm saying? If we doing the games now, or we waiting to go through the individual games, for me,
I'll give my thoughts, but we can start transitioning.
Okay, yeah. For me, listen, y'all know how I feel about Infinite Wealth. And look, I get it.
I knew this,
bro. I get it. Like, yo, you Dookie Island or whatever the hell it's called, bro. Like, I get it. You got a new mode, right? You're Animal Crossing this thing out. But here's my problem. My problem is, if someone watches this showcase for the first time, never seen Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, they gonna think that's the game. So someone's going to be like, yo, I don't want to do Dookie Animal Crossing nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, I thought this was, y'all said Ichiban was this. Why is he on dolphins? what's going on? You know what I'm saying? And I know you was laughing. I know.
I didn't put a gun to Cog's head. This is all from his own mouth. I just want to make it clear.
I'm like, Maddie is going to have a field day with me when we do this show. They got my man out here with Sesame Street characters and dolphins, and I don't know what's happening, right? I just didn't feel, they probably said it. I was just so angry during the thing that it's like, yo, this is a side mode or whatever. But at least could you have transitioned back to some hero in nature?
Riding segways?
Yeah, like you made this. Look at us, yo. And I'm like, that's cool. And guess what? This mode might be fire and it might be the most addictive thing known to man. I personally did not want to see a whole showcase of Dookie Dookie Animal Crossing Island. I didn't want to see that. So that's where I'm at with it. I think that was a tactical error. You know what I'm saying? And as far as the other thing, there was a couple of games here for me that I really, I thought the finals looked promising. I thought that looked promising from a multiplayer standpoint. RoboCop was all me. RoboCop was all me. 90s kid, grew up with that movie, the attention to detail, whatever. But outside of that, the fast paced one, was it the one with the punching, the roguelike? Is that
Dungeons of Hinterberg?
No, not that. I played that game.
Icaro.
Yes, I thought Icaro had promise.
Yeah,
looked a little promising. But that's really it for me. I mean, I like 2 look cool, that kind of thing. Metal Gear, right? You know what I'm saying? But it was okay. There was nothing here that made me go, yo. You know what I'm saying? But I do like that they have a show, and I do want them to continue to build on that and have more beats throughout the year. I'm always going to be a fan of beats throughout the year. So that's where I'm at. I am curious to hear what you feel about this showcase.
Okay. I'm going to sound very much picky, but I would like Xbox to find their showcase rhythm and stick to a format, to a messaging format specifically.
Okay.
You don't see there's state of play, there's showcase. There's Nintendo Directs, there's the Nindies. They don't veer out and do Tokyo Games Show showcase, Xbox extended gameplay showcase in a day after our Xbox showcase, Xbox games or Tokyo Game Show showcase. I mean, they are spitting out a third-party gameplay showcase. They just keep spitting out these formats, and everyone collectively agreed Developer Direct is the place for at least first-party stuff, right? And it seems like that's their format, but this is like another new format, and I'm like, why are we just doing these showcases? Like, I am pro showcase. I have always been pro showcase, and if I'm out here going, why do this? Why does this exist? I have to imagine other people are. I'm not outraged because, as you said, and as Xbox was transparent about it, it wasn't a massive promise made. They're like, hey, no Activision Blizzard titles. But here's the thing. I am not one of those consumers who's going to play dumb and be like, oh, you warned me there's not going to be like an Activision Blizzard thing there. When you put together a show, the expectation for Xbox at the bare minimum is a day one Game Pass announcement. That's it. And
Good point.
And I'm not talking about Like a Dragon Infinite, but there were games like Icaro was revealed. There was a first look at MGS3 Remake. We had stuff there. And I'll talk about all of that in a moment. But what I need Xbox to recognize if they come across this episode is you can't just slap together a showcase and not have a announcement, so to say, a moment for you guys. I think that it's cool that they're repping their partners, opening with Sega. That relationship continues to be great.
Yes.
Having Konami there, I see the JRPG Japanese representation here. It's awesome. But look, you guys got to stop with spitting out these formats and know that if you're bringing out a show, you have to have something to announce that's going to excite your fan base, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about the finals getting an open beta on your platform. I'm not talking about Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is already a day one Game Pass game,
right,
when it got announced back in the summer, seeing that again.
Yes.
And I'm saying that with all due respect, but like, look, you got to announce something when you put a show together and you make a statement about it, right? Like, here's the wire post. Here, we're streaming it over on Xbox.com. You can check it out. Like, when you start getting into that, expectations are created. You have something to say, especially now when we're leading into the Game Awards. Mm-hmm. There has to be an announcement. And the fact that there wasn't, I wasn't pissed. I was just like, again, why do this then?
Right.
Why introduce this whole new format, this whole new showcase style, other than to support third-party partners? But I know Xbox, this isn't going to be a yearly thing. This might show up in 3 fucking years again. Like, that's the thing I don't get. But here, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my question for you is, when you say announcement, so would you have preferred, because I'm trying to understand. So your thing is like, unless you have a big Game Pass announcement, because I agree with you in the sense that I was surprised that a lot of these games had no Game Pass tie-in to them. A lot of the big games, right? So, and you're like, well then, okay, like what's the purpose of this? So when you say the announcement, is it because of the game quality that you were looking for something bigger, a bigger splash?
No, there's quality here.
Okay.
It's about like, okay, when you look at how Xbox has been marketing things, right? Their relationships, and I don't even think you have to look at it closely. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, right? Like that's a Sega connection. That feels like the show ender almost. So when you end with Alan Wake 2, what connection outside of the original Alan Wake, not the sequel, the original Alan Wake, which is Epic really publishing it. What is the connection there where this is how you end the show, right? Like Alan Wake 2 looks phenomenal, but I'm looking at this from the perspective of like an Xbox creator. And if you're in that ecosystem and you're looking as a fan, what games are like, what's the special offering on my platform? You don't put a showcase together and not have that. You don't have to have a big moment, but you need a moment, right? Like again, I'm not talking jaw-dropping announcement. I'm not talking a massive game reveal. I'm talking like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is coming to the Game Pass.
Yes, I agree.
Something kind of like that, where it's not like everyone's blowing the roof off, but it's like, oh, cool. Like they had something to say. Yes. This felt to me like they had nothing to say. So it was strange to me.
I know what you meant. And that I felt like the opportunity was missed, because if any of those games have a Game Pass announcement, it changes the conversation. If you say Metal Gear and coming to Game Pass, that changes the conversation.
Yeah. Right? And it doesn't these games don't need to be in Game Pass. It's more so, okay, you've put together a showcase. There's some connection here to these games and your services or your platform, right?
It's specifically Alan Wake, because we know it was on the PlayStation Showcase at one point. Now it's on an Xbox Showcase. We know Epic is the publisher. What's the relationship? We know it comes out in like 2 days. We get it. But like, why? Like, you know what I mean? The only thing I can think of is that you're trying to improve your relationship with Remedy, because we've heard rumblings. So this to me doesn't seem fan driven. It feels business driven. Like, we're just going to give you a platform to promote your wares. Majority of the wares don't have any Game Pass or Xbox exclusivity or Xbox marketing association. Right. And that's where the confusion lies. So I'm with you there 100% that's why it felt a little hollow opposed to Tokyo Game Show, because it's like, okay, Persona 3 Tactica. Right. We know, okay, the man who erased his name. We know, right? Okay, that's why you're showing it. Okay, cool, right? Yeah. Infinite Wealth, I'm still going to predict that it'll eventually come, but we just saw you and you do this little weird mode. Okay, fine. But I get to your point. I think that's what confused the Xbox fan who's coming like, okay, why should I be excited for this? This is just coming out and for everybody. And
like RoboCop, it's a good example. The game looks cool. It's coming out November 2nd. It's like, okay. Right. Okay, it's coming out in a second. Okay, cool. Yeah. And I know every showcase has that, but like Xbox, you have to reflect on this. I wish I put this in my video, but you have to remember they've set a precedent with like every showcase, and they're like 27 out of the 30 games we show, they're coming to Game Pass. And,
good point.
And that is what we have been nurtured to expect. Is not every game is in Game Pass. We know that. We're smart people. We know that. But that when you've got a show, this is kind of your throttle button, because you're not going to do exclusive deals, but you're like, we can make it. I've always said Xbox is way in to making fans feel like they're getting an exclusive day one Game Pass.
Facts.
Because it's the same value proposition. Like, oh, I'm getting this unique to my platform, or I'm not paying extra at all. It speaks the same language.
The other thing too, I just thought about it. I said this on my live stream. Even if you don't have the Game Pass, another missed opportunity was, I thought, again, provided it was ready, if it's not going to be Game Pass, something that was not associated with your platform, now associated with your platform. So again, this could have been the perfect opportunity for people to be like, and by the way, we know you've been patient. Larian Studios, Baldur's Gate 3, Xbox version coming out. You see what I'm saying?
Like, that felt like a good opportunity. I didn't even think of that. That felt like a good opportunity to bring the news on that.
Yeah, here's the update on Dragon's Quest. We heard there's rumblings that, you were worried that it, wasn't coming to the platform. And now the new Dragon, give the association, right? For something that may have been in question, right? Kind of thing. Or Octo 2, right? We heard you, we told you, now confirmed. Boom, Game Pass. For the person who's watching this, they are the Xbox fan, right? So they are looking at it like, what's in it for us? What are we getting out of this?
And people only own an Xbox. That's how I look at it that way.
Yeah, and you're good, and that's why part of me feels that this is a business showcase to give.
When you see who let it off,
yes,
see Konami in the mix,
yes,
money changing hands. Yes. We'll take all these trailers, we'll gather them up and put them on our channel. And that's what it felt like, right?
Yeah.
It is. To me, the most puzzling thing, and I don't want to go on too long because I don't want to become agitating to the audience, but like,
of course not.
Alan Wake 2 concluding things, just what is, like, again, I know there's the nostalgia, there is the connection there historically, but with 2, with Control, what is the connection here where, like, what has happened recently? I know we had Quantum Break, so maybe I'm just being a little too short term.
Yeah.
But what is the connection here recently with Remedy to start showcasing their game at the end? I mean, it looks incredible. We'll talk about that in a moment. But
I'm just gonna go corporate cog. I think this is an olive branch to repair the relationship that we have heard was rumored was fractured since Quantum Break. Remedy has been on record not really the happiest with Xbox post that situation. Good point. Again,
good point.
The fan don't want to hear it, and I'm still going to be a fan first. I really don't care about that. But that's the only thing I can do, because I'm with you, man. It really makes no sense for them to be there. It really doesn't. So, and the other thing I will say is I want to give credit to one thing, though. Still Wakes the Deep, which is the horror game on the oil rig that we literally knew nothing of what. They didn't really show
one of the weird announcements earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, like we were like, okay, boat, rig, trailer's over. Okay, damn. All right. We don't know what the hell happened. Like, so now we got more. Okay, I like that in a sense, and we know that's Game Pass. That we know is Game Pass. But yeah, other than that, this to me, and I mean, obviously, Arc is huge for them. They tremendous engagement. I know the relationship there with Arc and Game Pass. That does super well for them. And rest in peace, my brother Dizzy. That was his game. He loved it. And my only issue, I was like, damn, that game's ugly as hell. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, it's just an ugly looking game. But nah, they got their graphics together on the remake. But I'm with you. I just think that as a fan, they can get better with that. And I agree with you on the multiple formats and trying to synergize in one format. But this to me was a business podcast, a business showcase to improve relationships behind the scenes, which I think the fans don't really care about, to be honest.
Agreed. We have a couple of games to talk about in here, or at least I do.
Please.
I gave a lot of thoughts on the showcase itself, but
yeah.
Like a Dragon Infinite, got to write in here. Adam Razak. Hey, Duke, sneaking this one in before the deadline. Congrats, you made the cut, Adam. As a massive fan of both Like a Dragon and Animal Crossing New Horizons, to see the two mesh together like chocolate and peanut butter and Infinite Wealth brought out a childlike joy, the likes of which I rarely experience. I feel like RGG Studio lives inside my imagination sometimes. How excited are you for this crazy-ass mode? Thank you, and I hope you are both doing well.
Maddie?
I will be honest.
Let's go.
It's so surprising to hear you shitting on this trailer because I was like, this is awesome.
Maddie liked it. Oh, they got him.
I didn't just like it. It was genuine excitement for me. I was like, wait, because I'm not big on Animal Crossing. Like,
okay.
I've watched these interior decorator videos. There are YouTube channels dedicated to Animal Crossing that literally walk around people's islands and it's almost like a house tour. Like, oh, look what they did with lighting here. And there's a car there on the hill projecting a little bit of light, and you can see the like real in-depth breakdowns on people's islands. They take this seriously. Me, don't get it. Do your thing though. You mix a JRPG in there though.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of flipping the right switch. This is one of those things that I'm just hoping they let it be a side thing, which I know is tough. Let it be a side thing. Don't do what you did with what is the name of the mini game where you're trying to get to the top, right? Don't make me max out my island.
Yes.
Get to someplace in the story.
No,
like you
confirm side. Confirm
right?
side quest. Confirm side quest. No, they did say it.
Okay. Good. Because that looks like so much fun. Because like one thing I loved about like the Kiwami games, like the Cabaret Club, the RTS mode they put in, like they've put some wild mini games into these titles, and they're so fun to play because I can go in and out when I want. And I think that was one of the mistakes that Like a Dragon made. It's like, no, like you didn't really let me go in and out like I want. Like I gotta get in here and I gotta make money here to get to the rest of the story that I wanted to see more about. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, man, like this, when I saw him carrying around the big butterfly net, I saw him fishing, I saw him taking care of his island guests, I saw fights happening, I saw collecting. I was like, you know what it reminded me of? What? It scratches a very particular itch of mine. Homestead in Assassin's Creed 3. I loved Homestead in that game, man. I loved that component of it. Like, because it had little mini games throughout. You had, before it became a full-blown game in Black Flag, you had the ship, you had the collectibles, you had the missions you could do to bring people to your island and unlock different things. I love that component. And to see Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth bring in a little bit of that, I was like, okay. Riding the dolphin, riding the segways, you lost me a bit. But what we got here, this is great. This looks like a lot of fun.
I take it back, RGG. You got my boy. You got my boy right now. You got him like Ichiban. I take back all my slander. This was the target demographic we were going after. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, it was really a fun trailer. I was thoroughly impressed because I was like, wow, they're winning me over in real time. Like I had that conscious thought. I was like, wow, I'm actually liking this. It really comes down to balance now. Like if you balance the combat, which I will stand on my square, I don't think they balanced the fucking game at all in the first one, unless you grind it an insane amount.
Right.
I don't think they balanced it at all. If they get that part right, we're in for a treat. This looks like a lot of fun. I love the spirit of this game.
Let's go.
I will say it would have been, I mean this genuinely, it would have been a little more hilarious if this was Kiryu. Like
Kiryu doing this would be funny as hell.
Like Ichiban, like you could see his goofy ass doing this, but like if you had Kiryu all serious, tending to this on his island, that'd be hilarious. But that's the thing. The opening part of the trailer, like bro, it was all serious. Like you saw, I think you saw Kiryu like with a breathalyzer just like bloodied up. I'm like, what happened to my? So you're gonna make him get beat up?
Yeah,
but not the MC. Come on now. Man. So yeah, but that looks great. I will admit that looks great. See, I'm fair, ladies and gentlemen.
Respect that.
MGS3 remake. I don't know if you caught this. Have you played MGS3 before?
Mm-hmm.
You know how like the aiming in those games are really weird. Like you go from third person to first person, and you like aim with one button, look around with another, and shoot with square. The way they handled the camera movement and the lifting of the gun and aiming immediately made me think like, oh, they're keeping those controls like that's kind of scary. I thought the remake was gonna tighten that up a bit. I know purists are going to love it. A little scary for me, especially Konami's efforts with the MGS Collection Volume 1. A little spooky right now, I think, for my MGS fans.
I agree.
So, you know, I want to be excited for this. I do. But hesitantly so. And this one may surprise people. The finals.
Yes.
Dude, because the original Battlefield developers are working on this one.
Yes.
So I love the combination of that gunplay, that movement, the weight, the heft, and more importantly, the fully destructible environment. See, I've lost my luster for first-person shooters, not because I'm over them, but it feels like every single one of them is on this very short shelf life. Like, you are the flavor of the week, nothing more, nothing less. Enjoy your time here and goodbye. I want a game that sticks around a little bit longer. And I feel like we haven't had that. And I hope the finals is that game, because I bring all that up. I don't get excited anymore because I just know you're in and out. You're the next battle royale. You're the next quick, oh, look at the player count. It's over 100K. And now it's at like 4K in a week or two. Like, and then the articles come in. It's like you exist to feed the news cycle and nothing more. And I want the finals to be different, because it looks legitimately great where it's like, okay, I'm giving myself over a bit. So I'm excited for this. I may actually give the open beta a whirl.
Yeah, me too. I love like you said, the fully destructibility. I love, because that gave me Battlefield, what they used to call it, Levolution vibes.
Yeah.
When things used to destroy and buildings crash. But what I thought was hilarious is when you killed them, they turned into money. Like, I thought the game show energy was really fun and unique, and I liked where they were going with it. And a little bit of marathon vibe, but I'm liking the energy. I'm liking the energy there, but I'm with you.
And Alan Wake 2, I suspect, just from what I've heard behind the scenes, I suspect this game is going to review really well, unless it has like a complete collapse late game that no one's talked about. Everything we're seeing looks phenomenal, and I'm very excited for this one. I'm hoping to squeeze it in. It's coming out at the perfect time, spooky season. So really looking forward to Alan Wake 2. But otherwise, Cog, is there anything you want to talk about with the Xbox partner preview, or shall we move on to number 2?
No, yeah, we pretty much knocked it out. Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Satya Nadella spoke with Business Insider, and I found this particular quote quite interesting. Quote, "If I look at it, the amount of time people allocate to gaming is going up, and Gen Z is going to do more of that. The way games are made, the way games are delivered is changing radically, whether it's mobile or consoles or PCs or even the cloud. So we're looking forward to really doubling down, both as a game producer and publisher. Now we'll be one of the largest game publishers and also a company that's building platforms for it," end quote. I want to know what you thought of this, because one of the quotes that stuck with people with Satya Nadella and Phil Spencer, they had this mock interview. I don't know if you remember, the camera was split, and Satya wearing his Halo Infinite sweatshirt was said, Microsoft is all in on gaming. And now he's doing it again. He's saying they're doubling down as a game producer and publisher, which I don't think there was much doubt of. But I say this again to really warn the non-Xbox fan in our audience, or the person who doesn't own one. Many, many people are under the belief that Xbox got the big one in Activision, and they're done, and that they're going to cool off, and now it's stability, and it's okay. Let's get the ball rolling. And I'm not saying they're immediately going to, maybe they do. I'm not saying they're immediately going to leap into an acquisition next. They have a lot of arranging to do with Activision, but I need people to understand that what Hogue said about they're going to be emboldened, they're going to go after someone soon. They are not done. They are not slowing down. They are doubling down. They're going to continue to buy. They're going to buy someone you like, probably. It's going to either suck or you're going to embrace it, whatever it is. But I'm just prepping you for that reality, which is Xbox and Microsoft are going to continue to buy anything they can get their money on now. Because if they got by regulators with Activision, which we had a feeling would happen, but it was a big challenge, they're probably thinking, who can we go for now? And they may be eyeing not smaller targets like many people are predicting, bigger, a Take-Two, a Valve, like EA, we talked about briefly, but I don't think that would happen. They could be eyeing equally bigger targets to, we need an answer to PC. Do they go for Valve? And I'm not advocating for it, but I just need people to prep that they are not going to look smaller in my eyes. They are going to look bigger. Cog, what do you think of this quote and the future of Xbox?
First of all, well said, because that's exactly how I look at it. And we have to talk about this stuff because, again, I'm a realist. I deal in what we see and the actions that we know are going to happen in real time. And this is where we are. I know it is a sore spot for some, but the reality is this. This is where we are. So we're going to talk about it. They're not going to stop. So I do feel it will happen. If I had to guess, like maybe a year or two from now, they'll cool off from just the integration of ABK. But to Satya's point, this is big. The Gen Z stuff, for whatever reason, I don't know why a lot of this screams mobile to me as well. And that focus, because Gen Z, as well as the female demographic and the older, I think of like Candy Crush. And I think of like Satya Sav and Mama Sav. Mama Sav is, she don't game, but she plays Candy Crush. You know what I'm saying? And I think of that demographic. I think of the demographic who are not like us, and they're on their phones all day playing these little games or whatever, if it's Call of Duty Mobile or whatever the flavor of the month mobile game is, Marvel Snap, whatever it is, right? They're on it. So the revenue in mobile gaming right now is insane, right? And this is what I feel is going to feed the Xbox division. Like, they are prepping the Xbox division. We had Jess Corton on, recently to be
bigger than Windows. Like they're going for it,
Yeah.
right? This is no longer, this is the side thing we do and we're going to be losing money, but our main thing is everything else. No,
Yeah.
that's the effect of seeing, the key here is Satya Nadella.
Yeah.
When Satya is out front with the Halo Infinite shirt or Xbox merchandise on, they are considering this a core pillar of the business.
Yeah.
And Xbox fans, we're not used to that, right? We're used to like, yeah, okay, we'll see what happens kind of energy. So I completely agree with what you're saying. When you look at the Gen Z targeting, when you look at the mobile cloud, we talked about the PC aspect where they've talked about console Game Pass maybe being flat, but PC. We see Starfield. We're seeing the PC growth there. Half or a little less than half of the growth there from Starfield was PC. That's huge for them, right? They're talking about Game Pass subscribers on one single day. That's huge for them. Cloud is going to be huge. We saw the leaked documents with the hybrid cloud situation. We see the verbiage of you don't necessarily need a console. No console required, right?
Yeah.
Not that they're going away from console, but they're making multiple points of entry. So that's how I see it. And when he says we'll be one of the largest game publishers and also as a company that's building platforms for it, they don't care where you get it. Mm-hmm. They just want you to have that entry point and to access it. And for me, I'm just going to be honestly, it's refreshing to see the commitment to gaming. I'm just going to always be honest. I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I'm not going to feel bad about that. And this is not from I'm just rooting for my sports team, because here's the thing. And this is matter of fact, I'll save this point when we get to Bowser, because I know what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? But for this, I look at it as full steam ahead commitment to Xbox and game. This is not your daddy's Xbox. They're here, and they're here for the long term. They will continue to push this path. That's how I look at this.
Agreed. I don't think there's anything else to say on this. So I think honestly the conversation continues in topic 3. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, that's why I want to hold.
And then I'll pass it to you.
Good point.
Doug Bowser considers, by the way, head of Nintendo of America, considers Xbox to, quote, be partners in many, many ways, end quote. Speaking on consolidation, he said, quote, I've been part of this industry for 16 plus years now. One thing that's been consistent is the acquisition of studios. But the other constant is the fact that new studios are popping up every single year. Incredibly creative studios are making content from indie size to AAA size games. So as consolidation happens on an equal basis, we're seeing these new studios, which really just speaks to the dynamic nature of the overall industry. In the end, that bodes well for the player, end quote. So this was his response when asked about what's going on with you and Xbox. Like, what do you make of Xbox wanting to acquire you at one point? And answered like a professional. He's like, we consider them partners in many, many ways. But then he also goes on about consolidation. So, Cog, I thought of you right away with this topic here. I can't lie. I figured you'd have a lot to say on it more than myself. And so I want to just let you take it away how you will.
Yeah, I thought this was really on time as far as what's going on, because listen, in fairness to the other side of the argument who doesn't agree with consolidation, that the talk is this is the death of the industry and we have to be careful, too many companies are consolidating. And I've always pushed back on that, because I even felt like if you look at even from ABK standpoint, Activision, Blizzard, King, it's a consolidated companies already. You know what I'm saying? Bandai Namco, Square Enix. You know what I'm saying? The consolidations has happened before our eyes already. And why I like this comment from Doug Bowser is basically twofold. One, he was pressed about the FTC leaked documents stating that Phil wanted to acquire, and everybody was appalled, which I understand. They were like, yo, what's going on here? This is crazy. Of course, from a relationship standpoint, he going to pump the brakes. He going to be like, look, you know what I'm saying? We consider them a partner in many ways.
He referenced here, he said, obviously Minecraft is on Nintendo Switch and we brought Banjo-Kazooie to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So we're looking forward to that partnership continuing.
Exactly. And on top of the fact that you just got a 10-year deal for Call of Duty from Microsoft, right? So they are loving this relationship. So there's not going to be this I am appalled, because we're doing great business together. But the thing about consolidation is so key, because he said the constant fact is that new studios are popping up every year. We know this to be fact because we just talked about our man from Forza Horizon 5. Remember, Matt Brown just left. Everybody was like, to start up his own studio, right? We got guys from the old BioWare team. I believe they call, was it Archetype or something like that?
Yeah.
To start up their own studio. What I'm trying to get at is this is the circle of life. Just because a company consolidates, he's telling you, this is a veteran that's been in 16 years of the game. New studios pop up all the time. That's what's going on. A lot of people, they get the bread, cash out, and now, hey, I may retire, but I may do. We just see Shinji, right? Yeah. We just see our retire from Tango.
I think it comes down to one thing real quick.
Let's go, please.
I think a lot of people don't realize how rich game developers are. And I say that because we hear, and I say this with all due respect, we hear the sob stories constantly.
Yes.
And some of them aren't paid well, like QA.
Of course.
But many of these big faces that we talk about on a weekly basis here are fucking loaded beyond your imagination. And that's why they leave and can fund their own, bankroll their own companies and get a loan and get started. Like, this is why. So I wanted to bring that perspective that I think a lot of people feel these people aren't millionaires. They're not making shit tons of cash off this. And I think it's because of the information that's shared. But sorry, please continue.
No, you're cooking. And to me, the key line is what he said in the final sentence. So as consolidation happens on an equal basis, key word, equal, we're seeing these new studios, which really just speaks to the dynamic nature of the industry overall. In the end, that bodes well for the player. Because at the end of the day, guess what? Let's just say, I'm going to use let's go back a couple of topics. And we talked about what's our people with the Kong game, right?
Oh,
right.
Iguanabee.
Right. Okay. So they go to Iguanabee. Now let's say Iguanabee and a couple others get together and they're like, yo, we don't like how that went down. We love the talent over there. We would love to have you at New Age Studios, whatever, making up a name, right? We're doing a New Age. We would love to have you over there, right? That studio is formed. The talent is going. Here's the other thing. I mean, not to make this, obviously the Sacred Boys will discuss this, but I don't know if you heard what's going on with Connie from Sony, from the whole, she's responsible for so many of the big first party titles and stuff. Like, she's available right now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it would behoove Microsoft if they were if she wants to start a studio, to get on the phone and be like, hey, Connie, we heard what happened. You know what I'm saying? If you had the desire to create a studio, we would have no problem. So that's the circle of it. So it's just like either you consolidate, but also a new studio happens all the time. And that's all I'm trying to say, to show the balance of it, that it's not this doom and gloom picture that everyone is making. Now, what I will give the people who don't like consolidation is that for the companies that are consolidating, they have to prove that they can maintain quality. I think that's fair. I think when you acquire a lot, it is fair to say, hey, I hope you can manage all of that. That's absolutely fair. I've never pushed back on that, but I'm never going to be on the side of, oh my God, this is so evil and so wrong for companies to consolidate when new studios pop up all the time, when opportunities and for money to be made is here. And that's just where I'm at. And I thought it was very poignant for the Nintendo CEO, Doug Bowser, to say this, because this is an industry vet that has seen this, for over so many years.
Yeah. I think another way of looking at it for people who view things differently is, as long as there are talented people in this industry, there will be new teams, because you build the new team around that face always. Like, I think we'll talk about Liza P in a little bit. Like, Ji-Won Choi is the director of that game. And if he wants to strike it out on his own, be free of publishers, like, that seems to be the thing. Like, I don't want to deal with up here. I want to go chart my own destiny. Bro. I got all this knowledge, all this experience. I'm going to take a bet on myself. I'm going to go over here and do this. And obviously you make way more money that way if it pans out too. So there's like a vested interest in your success. As long as there are talented creatives, like, once he's available, okay, how can we like snag him up? How can we make something out of this? That will continue to be, as you said, the circle of life. So as long as they're talented creatives, creative people are always going to want to decide what they want to do. Like, and I know that sounds stupid at first, but think about it. A lot of these people are making decisions based off execs, the big corps that we talk about. they're not doing what like I can do. Like, I'm going to make this call here. Like, we're going to do this quest this way.
Facts.
And that's it. There's no, hey, what do you think? You're paying for this. It's like, no, we're making the change. That's it.
Facts.
That's why you see, although it feels like a little bit of PR speak, you see a lot of companies say, like, when they like their publisher and they say they let us do what we want, it is the common thing you hear, because like that's the biggest thing they want is give me money and let me do my thing.
Let me create. Yeah. Right.
And so that will always be, as a creator, or that will always be something in demand, the autonomy and the money. And so they will work under whatever rugged conditions, find a way, get tired of that lifestyle, collect all the cash that they have, and go do it on their own. It's happened way too many times to ignore. So to back up your side of the argument, I just think, even if you're anti-consolidation, it's not to convince you to be pro-consolidation. Right, it's to remind you that there are new studios like NeoWiz and Round 8. Like, this is a brand, I don't mean to keep leaning in the lies of people, but this is a team's first game, right?
Yeah.
First game, brand new team. Bro. And they have made one of the best games of the year. So my point being is you got to keep your eyes open to who the new people are. And I don't think you have to look far to find them anymore like you once had to. So yeah, it's not to convince anyone, go start cheering for acquisitions. It's more so to just, and I don't think COG's doing that either. It's more so to recognize that this cycle will never end. And I think the scary part, COG, and I'd be curious to your response, the scary part for people, I think, is, okay, like, yeah, we're going to get new studios. We're going to get a NeoWiz, but like Activision, EA, like these have been parts of my childhood. So what do you make of that? Where I think we don't want to, lose sight of some people's concerns and misrepresent them. What do you make of that? Because I know that it's the legacy for some people, like what they once were, and now they're cashing out, and it's changing things forever.
And that comes with the territory in terms of what I consider culture, right? And like, we know BioWare's flavor from back in the day, right? And we're like, yo, this is, they make these iconic games with this level of detail and personality that we absolutely love. And then they get acquired, and then, maybe you see that shift, that you don't see the same quality that you used to. That's fair. I think the culture and the soul, right, is fair once you get acquired, to make sure that's maintained. Otherwise, and then sometimes some studios are just living off name recognition alone, and the people that we love, that made the games we love, are really not there anymore, and that's the acceptance. But what I will say, I wanted to say earlier, was that when we talked about what I consider the circle of life, right? When consolidation happens, new studios pop up. One of the most perfect examples of this is Vince Zampella and Respawn. Because this person was part of the factory, who literally made part of Infinity, head of Infinity Ward, right? One of the members there that made the iconic Modern Warfare games that we love. He started to have friction and discord with what was going there in Infinity Ward, right? Once they were able to cash out, settle, do whatever they had to do, he creates Respawn. He makes Titanfall, Jedi Survivor, all these, and then EA says, "Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Battlefield, huh?
Hey, you want to touch Battlefield? Hey, we like what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing." So again, circle of life. This is what happens, and that to me is look at Apex Legends. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, part of that Respawn tree that was a newly created with all of this talent, kind of energy. Even Sony has a studio right now that I'm super pumped. I always get them mixed up. It's either Firewalk or Fire Sprite, the one that got all the multiplayer guys, because that studio, I know, like they've got so much Destiny PvP talent and legends in the industry, like Counter-Strike, all these super talented PvP multiplayer focused talent. That studio, I can't wait to see what they got cooking. And again, they started their own thing.
Any other thoughts on this, or?
No, that's it. I just thought the Bowser thing was interesting, and I definitely think the Gen Z focus from Satya was interesting, and we'll see how what monitors that go forward with their direction post ABK acquisition now.
Absolutely. So that's your news for the week, ladies and gentlemen, and now we have our Game Pass pick of the week, where I have made the selection and I've teased it like 8 times this episode, so it's not a surprise. We'll pull off the Band-Aid It is Lies of P. So finished this game, did my final verdict video on my channel. Game of the year easily for me right now. Like really good game. And I posted that on Twitter. It was my game of the year so far. And someone mentioned this, which I didn't think of. If it holds, Plague Tale was my game of the year last year, Plague Tale Requiem. And if Lies of the P is my game of the year this year, I will have had 2 of my game of the years back to back in Game Pass day one, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
So
Wow.
just something worth considering, as we mentioned before, the quality, not quantity, is going up over at Xbox Game Pass. This game, man, I mean, there's a reason we spent so long talking about it on Defining Duke Ultimate, and I hope people do check that episode out, because the non-spoiler section, as I mentioned, is longer than the spoiler section, because there's just so much to this game. I'd be here forever, but I implore those of you who are listening, 2 audiences I'm talking to here, are you burnt out on Souls? I know Gene was. I know some people are. Like Elden Ring felt like the magnum opus moment, and I get that. I did not have a real yearning for a Souls-like after Elden Ring. Like many people, 100 plus hours, really got my fill. And I wasn't like, thank God that's over. I really love Elden Ring. It was my number 2 in Game of the Year last year. But it was like almost a mental affirmation of, we're not going to go better than this. Like this is kind of the moment, and the only one who can do it again is FromSoft. And so I kind of cooled it on any Souls-like, Souls clones, et cetera, et cetera. And Lies of P caught my interest because my favorite Soulsborne title is Bloodborne.
Yes.
Love Bloodborne. Atmosphere, architecture, it nails it, man. And the combat, I love that it rewards aggression. And Lies of P is this amalgamation of Souls, Sekiro, Bloodborne, and it just makes something I think really unique in it all. So to those of you who are burnt out, I do think that Lies of P, at face value, you're gonna be like, it's a copycat. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think it introduces enough unique and fun ideas to warrant you trying it, especially on Game Pass. The first boss is really tough because you can't summon and you're learning the game, and so it teaches you a lot. It really beats you over the head with a challenge. Once you get through that, to those of you who are maybe intimidated by the skill required, you can summon for literally every single fight, and you can get this thing called the Wish Stone, which can change the effects of your summon, so you can give them protection, defense. You can make it, if you will, easier. If you were afraid of this game, it is tough, but this Wish Stone system and this summon system will make it feel like during stretches of those boss fights, you are playing a kind of co-op game, right? It's that simple. And I summon for most fights, not out of challenge, I would say, but I learned from Elden Ring, the game was designed around that.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want to have this ego, this pride coming in where, oh, I'm going to do this on my own. I got friends who are fucking toxic about it. Where we're like, bro, you're summoning, that's what. I'm like, I don't want to hear a thing at all. There is no summon ego in my life. I'm like, if you want to summon, go ahead. The game should be built for it. And I think Lies of P is. Almost every boss has 2 phases. Phase 1 is you and your summon. Phase 2, it's likely you and the strongest part of the boss. That's where it gets spooky, right? So that's my message to those who are intimidated. I know it's going to be challenging, but the reason I implore you all is not like, oh, good Souls, like this story is phenomenal. This story is phenomenal. It's not told to you constantly directly where, you know, that's stopping you and there's a cutscene and there's a lot of character dialogue. There is a decent amount. There is a vision, a focus here. And I will just say this ending is some of the coolest setup I have seen for a sequel ever. Ever. Like it leaves you fulfilled with how the first game ends. It doesn't leave you hanging. But what they are setting up, I'm telling you, get on board now, because this is a game that what's going to happen, I can read all your minds now. Yeah, okay, Maddie. All right, whatever. You can go about your life for 3-4 years. This sequel is going to come around and it is going to make your head turn just on a narrative level. You'll be like, what are they doing? What about the first game? And then someone's going to ruin that moment for you. Just like that.
Damn.
Do not let it get taken away from you. This game has an amazing story that you need to see, I feel. Because what world they are setting up here is fucking awesome. And I don't think I'm overselling it. I have yet to meet someone or see it online. Everyone thinks this ending is sick. Don't just look it up. It's about the experience of going through, seeing P's arc, and seeing what they're doing next. It is awesome. So please, if you are into Souls games, this game, I think, absolutely borrows the blueprint. It looks at the FromSoft games and it says, like, okay, what did they do? Right? Like, what did they do right? But I don't think they copied what they did wrong. I think the ambiguity of a Souls game story where you got to crawl through item description. I've said it before. I fucking hate it.
Same.
I love Souls games, but I cannot stand the way they tell stories. It is not like, I loved Elden Ring. Again, number 2 game of the year last year. Like, so it's not about disrespecting it, but the way they handled side quests where if I beat boss Z and I'm all the way on the east side of the map and some fucker is in the woods, and if I don't talk to him after that specific boss fight, I just miss out on the side quest entirely. Like, that type of shit that game's filled with, I'm like, okay, I love the secrets, but this reminds me of like artificial secrets. Like, who the fuck is going to find that unless it's a complete accident? It reminds me of like Nintendo's artificial scarcity where it's like, there are no longer any copies of Mario 3D All-Stars in stock. It's like, you could print them forever if you really wanted to, right? So it reminds me of that, like, what FromSoft's doing is fraudery, right? Like, I don't need a YouTuber to tell me a story. You get paid to. You tell me the story. And my point with all of that is that Lies of P will deliver a legitimately great story. So they look at that. That's a big separating quality for me, and it will be for you, because the world here, the puppet frenzy, the human petrification disease, Krot as a setting, the way they do it all, man, I'm telling y'all, you're going to fire the game up. You'll stand up as P. You will step out of that train in the opening moments and go, holy shit. That opening shot is so rich in atmosphere and mood. It will grab hold of you and it won't let go. You'll at least be left thinking about it. You'll at least be left thinking about it. And I'll leave it there, really. There are a lot of mechanics I'll leave you to discover for yourself, from the Legion arm to the quartz system to all of these various upgrades you can do to your build. You can take the handle off a weapon and put a different top on it. So the weapon evolution's there. There are secrets, but like, it's not afraid to guide you, Cog. Like, okay, you get a side quest. Just like the bonfires in a Souls-like game or whatever, you go to your Stargazer. Let's say you're fast traveling around, right? Oh, who's that? That's Geppetto's face. Why is he in that area there? And you go there and you find him. It doesn't give you a waypoint or anything, but you know he's in that zone. You find him and you talk to him, and the side quest progresses, right? So the game's not afraid to give you a helping hand, like, hey, they're in like area 7, zone 2. But you're going to have to find them yourself, right?
Right.
And that's what I love about it. It's not afraid in certain areas to give you the gentle guiding hand that doesn't strip away the absolute freedom this game is built off of. It is a little linear. And the last thing I'll say, it's about 25 hours. Not a long commitment at all. Souls-like games are kind of an off-putting venture for people because it's fatiguing, right? Like, you dive in, you get your ass beat for like 80 hours, and you come out of it and you're like, I don't need another one of those for years. This is one, because it's so short and the story's so good and the new game plus is so great, you actually may finish it and go, I want to keep going, which is what I did. Going for 100% achievements, 1,000 gamer score.
Oh, you okay? You sound like me with stuff.
Yeah, it is. This may be my Midnight Suns moment. This may be that every week, like, yo, here's the story, here's what I'm doing. I'm telling y'all, this is about to be the Midnight Suns moment. So get on the train now.
All right, I might have to fire it.
Okay, I'm just warning everyone.
You go so hard for it.
First boss, it's my game of the year. First boss will spank you. First boss will spank you. Okay, and everyone's got to. You're gonna walk in. You're gonna accept it. Okay, it's not unbeatable. It's just like every FromSoft game in that you will play it and you will learn, and once you learn, now you're good for the rest of the game for the most part. Like I really didn't and I play these games a lot, so I guess that may be part of it, but like I'm not incredible at these games, but there wasn't an authentic, holy shit, this is impossible struggle. The final boss will be tough for some people, but if you get that far, you're not going to stop. You're not. And it is beatable. And final thing. I know I've said it like 3 times now, final thing, but this is the actual final thing. The way the game provides answers for you, I think, is something FromSoft could learn from beyond just power leveling. Like, I fought a certain boss that had like electric shock and they were doing pierce damage. So I changed my whole kit, not respecing my stats. I just changed what I'm wearing. Like, okay, I want more pierce resistance, and I put on a couple accessories. I want more shock resistance. And I came in and I targeted a different weakness using acid on my weapon. Whole different boss fight from someone who was kicking my ass before.
Oh, wow.
So this game, like, I didn't one trick a weapon the whole way through. Like, I was making changes actively. I was analyzing and responding. It's a very well thought out, well tested game. And I implore people who have Xbox Game Pass, and it doesn't matter where, because guess what? It's optimized. Play it on Xbox, play it on PC, play it on the ROG Ally like I did. Play it wherever you like. Steam Deck, yep, they got you there too. Great performance. Play it somewhere. Play it on the cloud. I actually played it on the cloud with my Backbone.
Timing was okay with Souls?
Timing was okay, yeah. I played it on the cloud with my Backbone. I played it on remote play with my Backbone. I played on remote play with the Logitech. Like, I have given this thing the Maddie treatment. It has gone through every device possible because I just want to keep playing it. It is amazing. And I don't know if everyone's going to walk away loving it as much as I do, but it's really the ending that's the cherry on top. I love the game. I knew it was my game of the year as I was going through. I was like, this is the thing I've loved the most all year. But it was that ending that was like, that is special, and I'm happy I experienced that now, and no one could ruin that for me. So I'm telling y'all now, get in there, see what my man P is up to, learn about these deep, engrossing characters, finish that story out. It will be worth it. It will. You could fucking hate the game, but I would be surprised if you walk out of that ending and you go like, damn, that's cool as hell. And you actually made me confused at first. I had to look it up. And when you look it up and you see what they're doing, it's like, oh
God, one of those.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly downloading just to see.
Okay.
You going so hard. I'm like, and I tell people about you. I was talking to, was it Travis and E one time on Last Word. I was like, yo, Maddie is in. This is his game of the year. I've spoken to a bunch of other people that absolutely love it. And there are certain things, look, I don't like Souls. And most of it is because I just don't like being angry in my day. Like, I don't like being frustrated. That I call it like the old school throw the controller at the screen game.
I don't think it maybe it's because I'm seasoned, so it doesn't pull that out of me anymore. I don't rage at a FromSoft boss anymore.
Right.
Actually, Radon, when I was reviewing Elden Ring, holy fuck, that guy was testing my limits, man. But like, yeah, that was the closest I got to like rage. That was a skill moment.
And I will say the idea and the story of a Pinocchio story, a dark Pinocchio story, and the actual ambiance looks very cool. I never played Bloodborne. I never played. I stay away from this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Dude.
So to hear people rave and to hear the Bloodborne community say, "Yo, these people you could tell love this." So there's a part of me that's like, you need to at least see what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I may give it that cog how I gave at least Elden Ring a try. Right? I was like, all right, let me at least try to see what's going on here. And when you said narrative, just when you piqued my interest.
Yeah,
because that's my issue. Like,
yeah, I'm not trying to sell people, like, the mechanics are what you've seen before. There are new ones that change the game and are awesome, but I'm not going to oversell them. Like, it's the story that's the big separating factor for me. Right.
And for me, COG is a narrative guy. I have to have reason to why I'm doing something. Yeah. And that is...
You're not just suffering. You're right. There's a mystery. There's a thing you're trying to solve.
Okay.
It takes a little time to come together. I tell people, and I don't know if you'll do this, but I hope you do. I tell people with this game, get past the first boss, get to Hotel Krat, get your adventure truly started, okay? Because the first section of the game, which is short, by the way, you get to the first boss in like half an hour. You're learning the game. Like, I encourage you, give yourself the chance to learn, get through that first challenge, let yourself know you can do it, get set up, get your feet wet, level up, and see where you end up from there.
Okay.
If you end up not completing it, that's totally fine. But I implore the audience that if you fire this one up, get past that first boss, have your skill issues, get your ass kicked, get past it, and see what happens from there.
Fair enough. We'll see.
All right, Cog, let's end on a positive note.
Yes.
NJ writes in for our final question of the episode. Good day to you fine gentlemen. It seems we've been stuck in a world of drama, disputes, and despicable behavior for so very long now, and I'm hoping you can bring us some joy. What's putting a smile on your face? What's making you genuinely happy in the gaming world these days? What delightful and exciting and invigorating things are you doing right now? Thanks for the show. Thank you, NJ. So, Cog, let's talk games. What's making you happy? Whether even it be beyond games, what's making Cog feel a little bit more cheery these days?
Listen, for me, I'm super pumped at the fighting game resurgence. Like, I am just so excited. Like, it really came to my realization last week when that Tekken closed network test came out, that when it's a fighting game I love, everything stops. And Tekken was that game. And for me, what brings me joy is, the learning. It's kind of like this. That's my Souls, right? Where it's like, you got to get your behind whip. These kids are tearing you up. You got to learn strategies. You got to go through the move set of your character, learn different strategies, learn all the new systems, dojo fight with the homies. Shout out to Kai Batsu and a couple other people that came in, and we're like 6 deep, yo. And we are just going at it, rotation, that kind of energy. And then the last thing is like, what really brings me joy in the gaming community with all the stupidness going on, people putting clips up of actual games they're playing and having fun. Like, yo, this is stunning. Or, hey, like, no one's having fun playing games anymore. Everyone is attacking someone else about how the game looked. People are putting up clips not about enjoyment. They're putting up clips to tear something down. And like, I'm not from that. Like, I am here to have fun and play games. And when something truly resonates with me, I want to celebrate it. I want to get that screenshot. When I got my little Destiny clips, when I have my little Midnight Suns clip. If something is really captivating me, I like to broadcast and celebrate that. And that's the best thing for me. So that's good for my soul, my psyche. And I like when other people, that's why I go so hard for like Midnight Suns gang. They'll hit me up, Cog, yo, I got it. Yo, I'm loving it. You know what I'm saying? People hit me up about Ichiban. People hit me about Tekken. Like, bro, I'm playing with Harang and oh my God, let's get. I love that. Like, that's my joint. There's no bigger joy to me than that. Or a developer reaching out and was like, yo, we like that you enjoyed our game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's dope. Like, I love that. That's, to me, gaming. That's what it's about. We got to get back to that for me. That's where I'm at. What about you?
I think it's kind of tailing off your answer a little bit, but I do think the resurgence of Western, I should say resurgence, but the real powerhouse that like RPGs are. I've always said that like they were the best genre because it's the one that you want everything to bleed into. Like, you can be a shooter RPG, you can be a melee combat action RPG. You could be a turn-based, like, it's always the one you bleed into because there's so much agency over the experience. And I feel like this year, while they all kept getting sized up, and I get why, you had some of the best of all worlds in the terms of RPGs. I think you had the expansiveness RPG in Starfield, like, just keep going, keep leveling up, keep getting perks, keep doing more and more and more. The endless content void, almost like a old JRPG, just keep going. There's more and more, right?
It's my addiction.
And then there's the gameplay shooter RPG in Cyberpunk. Some of the best in class level design, all the options you have, the quick hacks. And then you get something like Baldur's Gate, like that traditional BioWare, early 2000s kind of RPG, dialogue centric, skill check centric, D&D focused, very replayable, easy to miss tons of things. I mean, it's incredible we got all of those in a year. And that's really what's brought me a lot of joy in the gaming world, just seeing them thrive. Like, I wouldn't have expected some of my most popular videos this year to be just talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, did I have my review written on the calendar? Absolutely. But did I expected to do as well. No, and I don't mean that from like a numbers, like, yeah, we're doing well, money. It's more like I still, and I've never lost this, I still get really excited when like my viewers account is up on stuff I never expect to do well, like my Baldur's Gate videos, because it's like, nice, like people are into this, like they want to know more beyond the game. And that's always a good feeling. It's the best feeling really as a content creator, is to throw something out there that you think there isn't an audience there for, but you love it, and to find someone else, a lot of people ends up loving that. And so that brings me a lot of joy, that the thing that, you know, I remember like starting off with Skyrim, it felt like when a BGS game comes around, but through that, the genre has really grown and just taken off, not just through Bethesda Game Studios, but really through, in my personal, like how I've built my content, through using that as a launch pad and going into other RPGs. I remember there being like authentic hype for Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning. I was like, this is awesome. Like this is one of those, it shouldn't have never happened action RPGs. It should have never got a remaster given all the legal troubles surrounding it. Somehow THQ pulled off some wizardry and did it. And it's awesome to see that people are really excited about it. I think collaborations also really excite me in games. You know I trashed on Game Mill, but I've been honest. Nick All-Star Brawl 2 looks awesome. Like I love IP crossover. I wish we weren't so prideful and we got more of it. I wish there wasn't print surrounding all of these characters and levels and brands, and that they could just intersect more, because when your two worlds come together, even under the same umbrella, it's a awesome feeling. So those are a couple things that really make me happy in the gaming world.
Well said. I agree.
All right, Cog. Well, that's it for episode 147 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. We just need our hashtag and then we're out of here.
We doing DD partners.
I kind of like that. I
like it because it's kind of Duke centric.
Yeah. All right, we'll do that. DD partners, ladies and gentlemen. If you got this deep, you want to let us know, whether it be in the comments down below or on Twitter. I am at Use27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. You can tag us there. Use the hashtag DD partners. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, wherever it may be. We're looking forward to seeing it. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. Cog, any final words, or shall we just wrap this one up completely?
Another good one in the realm of the Dukes, man. Excited, and more stuff to come, man. But what a year it's been for games. It's been
absolutely. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, take great care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time for episode 148 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.